This is the Big D, and I don't mean Dallas.
Totally awesome. Totally tough. Bad mother.
That's it.
Super Bowl.
Big and fun.
Go fast.
Keep both fingers crossed.
Half crazy to go fast. Very exciting. Big time awesome. Terrifying. Intense.
No words, just pressure.
ESPN2 Speed World welcomes you to continuing unprecedented coverage of Speed Weeks 97. Today, for the first time in history, live coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup Busch Pole qualifying. Daytona International Speedway is cloudy, occasionally rainy. Qualifying has not started yet. When we do get underway, we'll determine only the front row starters for the 500 a week from tomorrow. Starting spots 3 through 30 go to those who finish up front in the twin 125 qualifying races. If you are not among those, then qualifying speed is used for positions 31 through 38, provisional spots based upon last year's points, and then if there's a champion that hasn't made the group, he will start in 43rd position. Lots of stories down on pit road. Here's Bill Weber.
Well, Bob, 2 minutes, 2 laps, 1 chance at the pole. In the last 24 hours here at Daytona, even the mighty have struggled. Fresh faces have forced familiar front runners to the rear of the field. You know, during the offseason, all these teams worked hard, building cars, dynoing engines, testing springs and shocks. Now, some have come here with a new look, but most have come here with a new attitude. Now we have 50 cars lined up, ready to go in qualifying. What's the most important piece of equipment these teams will use this afternoon? It's the telephone, so they can call their multi-million-dollar sponsor and tell them how they did in the first round of qualifying. For some very strong teams, that may be a very difficult phone call. But for one team, it will be very simple. We're on the pole for the biggest, greatest race our series runs, the Daytona 500. And what will those multi-million-dollar sponsors see first? Well, they'll see Ernie Irvan go out and lead this field into qualifying, just like you're going to see. But you're not going to see it for a few minutes because it continues to drizzle right now here at Daytona. Ernie Irvan is the first man out. He'll be followed by Dick Trickle. They're sitting here conversing. And Ernie, you just went out in the pace car. How's the track?
Still a little bit wet, you know, especially wet down in 3 and 4. So, you know, they're definitely going to go around it one more time and maybe twice, and then we'll go out and check it again.
Fastest in the final practice session. Was your lap clean, sir?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, we didn't want to do that. We don't want to be the fastest guy, but you know, it just so happens that we were trying to make sure we had a qualifying run and trying to make sure that we could run enough to find out how hot the motor would get. So we had to stay in it, and you know, we didn't want to run that fast, and I don't think we can run that fast. So, you know, hopefully we'll be able to run a little bit slower than that, but that'll be good.
When you put in the time, your first time, your qualifying time here, you go first. This could take 2.5 hours. If you put up a good lap, what's that going to be like to wait?
Don't really matter. I did everything I could do.
It was a big build-up, Ernie.
Yeah, it was a big build-up, but you know, it's like it doesn't really matter if the next guy beats me or you know, my teammate Dale Jarrett beats me. It's you know, we did everything we can do for the time we had, and you know, I feel like you know, all the guys on the Texaco Avalon Ford have done a great job. So, you know, hopefully it'll be good enough.
And the 28 is fast, and so is the 88.
Yeah, they are. You know, and that just shows you that Robert and you know, everybody in the engine shop and in the chassis shop and the body shop have done an unbelievable job, you know, because, you know, there'd be nothing better than to have a Robert Yates front row.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Ernie Irvan goes out first when we go. Hopefully that won't be too long from now. Right now, let's go up to our host, Bob Jenkins.
Skies are much brighter than they were a few minutes ago, so it won't be too long before the official 1997 NASCAR Winston Cup season gets underway. And I guess there's both good news and bad news in that statement.
Well, that's exactly right. The crews have been working all winter just waiting for this moment to start the 1997 season. Folks, this is very, very exciting. That's the good news. The bad news is the season has started. They really won't have a weekend off for some of them for months.
There's both good news and bad news for many of those drivers waiting down into qualifying, Ed.
Well, there is, Bob. And looking at the practice speeds yesterday and here this morning, it looks like there are maybe a half a dozen or maybe 7 or 8 that might have a legitimate shot at winning the pole here today. Well, what difference does it make then to all the others? It makes a big difference. You want to get as good a qualifying speed as you possibly can. Most of the time, if you're in the top 24 or 25 in speeds, that will get you in the Daytona 500 if you have problems in the 125-mile qualifying race. So they need to prepare those cars and make a good lap, get as good a speed as they can possibly get here today.
Ernie Irvan will be the first out. Dick Trickle, who has been very fast in the practice, will be second. Loy Allen has run well. Then Ward Burton, Rick Mast, Terry Labonte, the series defending champion. Bobby Hillen ran fast yesterday, had some problems today. Steve Grissom, Kyle Petty, Darrell Waltrip, Lake Speed, John Andretti, who was the fastest in preseason testing and has also been running well here in the past couple of days. Then Jeff Bodine and Ricky Rudd will round out the top 15 qualifiers in just a few moments.
There we see Mike Skinner, Benson. Mike Skinner, one of the fastest Chevrolets here, the team car to Earnhardt. And we'll go down and find Sterling Marlin back in 22nd spot. Always runs well here in Daytona. Earnhardt in 27th. Bill Elliott been struggling back in 28th spot. And Robbie Gordon coming from the kart at PPG circuit to the NASCAR.
Lots of cars here to qualify today. Bobby Labonte, who was on a pole streak towards the end of the 1996 season, will go off 31st. And you can see Mark Martin is way down there in 45th place. And there at the end of the list, you have some good cars there, Bob.
Yes, for sure. Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett have been the fastest 2 drivers the last 2 practice sessions. And so we may have to wait until late in the afternoon to determine who's going to be on the pole for this year's race. Dr. Jerry Punch is also with us this afternoon on Pit Road.
Thanks, Bob, and hello, everyone. You know, last year we played a song all year long, something to the effect that you can't win the race if first you don't qualify. Well, here at Daytona, you can't qualify if first you don't satisfy. Now we're talking about satisfying NASCAR inspection. Behind me, the line begins. This is the first of 18 inspection stations that NASCAR will have for each and every car. The car going through right now, Kenny Wallace. Now, Mike Dolan standing here with a creeper in his hand. He is the very first inspector that they will see. And what Dolan will do is get on that creeper and climb beneath the car to make sure that the shock absorbers have been taken loose so the car can roll into the station number 2. Now, station number 2 here, where the real tree car of Dave Marcus is just now finishing up, that is being called affectionately the Room of Doom. Now, what that means is that's where they will lower the 75-pound weights on the left and right rear of the car to see if the car will actually flex or squat. It's only allowed to squat 3/8 of an inch, or else you go back and put stiffer springs in it. That is station number 2. As that car gets pushed through, they will go on through other stations back inside the garage area, and you will see stations back there where they're working on taking fuel samples, checking the carburetor, and the final station is right over here, 18th and final, where they will check the roof height of the car, coming through. That is the car of Jeremy Mayfield. They come through the roof sticks, and now the NASCAR officials will go to the back of the car and the front of the car, and they will pop rivet a piece on the back of the car. That is if the car cleared inspection. Apparently the 37 car did not clear inspection, so he will not stop here. He will go back and get in the rear of the line and come through once again. 18 stations, about 2 minutes a station, a thorough examination. You have to get through here before you ever get a chance to even get out there where Bill Weber was standing to get a chance to qualify.
Terry Labonte's car was the first through inspection, I guess, after the practice this morning. His car was wheeled out about noon, 2 hours before qualifying was scheduled to begin.
And Jeremy Mayfield, the car that looked like it did not make it through inspection, is scheduled to be the 51st car out to qualify this afternoon. So he's got plenty of time to correct whatever problem he had.
Well, the sun is popping out occasionally. There is Lake Lloyd in the infield here of Daytona International Speedway. The jet dryers and the trucks remain out there, getting up the last little bit of moisture before we run for the pole position for the Daytona 500. Welcome back to Daytona, where we're awaiting the start of Busch pole qualifying.
And that's not the Atlantic Ocean.
That is Lake Lloyd in the infield. They dug out that lake so they could build the banks here at Daytona. And the Budweiser blimp and its eye-in-the-sky camera are proud to provide you with these live shots, hovering about 1,000 feet over Daytona International Speedway. Thank you, guys. Skies still continue to brighten, and things are looking much better than they were about a half hour ago. And Bill Weber is standing by with Loy Allen.
And Loy's talking it over with his crew. Obviously, no fun waiting, huh?
Yeah, I guess the rain, no one likes to stand at a racetrack in the rain, so it's a little bit hard for everyone just waiting to see what's going to happen.
Okay, how about the pole, Mr. Allen? You know how to get there. You've been there before.
I think, these guys, did a great job, and I think we had good practice this morning, and, we'll see how it goes a little bit later on. Of course, came in a new sponsor, Child Support Recovery, and they're doing a good job for us. And these guys did a good job testing, so we'll have to wait and see.
You didn't answer my question. Can you win the pole?
I think that the car has got the potential to do that. I think we'll just have to wait and see how we go out and see, how the rain affects everyone. If the air gets real thick, see how the engines run. But, the car is definitely there. We got good horsepower. Mark Smith came back with a lot of horsepower during race, more than we had when we tested. So, the car's got it. We'll just have to see what happens.
Okay, that's the answer I wanted. Good luck, Loy.
Thank you.
Hadn't been too long since Loy Allen was on the pole for the Daytona 500 as a rookie. What, 1994, I believe it was?
A couple of years, 3 years ago, yeah.
And like I say, he's run very, very well in the practice so far here today.
Let's take a look at this Daytona International Speedway. There's the front stretch. We saw the grandstands. There's 1 and 2, turns 1 and 2. They're banked 31 degrees, these turns are here at Daytona International Speedway. These cars will qualify almost 190 miles per hour, and Ned never backing off the accelerator.
Hold her wide open. If you have to back off, you're not going to win the pole here. Of course, this is the back stretch coming off of turn 2, and see the wrecker headed down the back stretch, headed towards the beach, really. That back stretch runs along with the runway of one of the airport strips here, and going into turn 3, that also banked 31 degrees.
And folks, I tell you what, the first time you come here, doesn't matter how fast you're going, 160, 170, 180 miles per hour. It's so hard to hold that accelerator down going down in these corners, because most of the drivers come from quarter-mile, half-mile racetracks where you back off, hit the brakes, and you're just not accustomed to going in there wide open.
Yeah, we're focusing towards turn 4 there right now. Now, there's a tunnel right along there about where that yellow truck, the second one, comes out through there. And the first time I remember coming here and drove through that tunnel, then you just look to the left a little bit, and there is that awesome bank. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Scary.
Very scary, intimidating. And also that bump where the tunnel goes under the racetrack that created a bump there. And for years and years, you come off that corner, you had to be square when you came off that corner because you'd crash otherwise, as I can tell you all about.
Now let's back down to Jerry.
Let me show you a little bit about what's happened with inspection this year. Now, in years past, teams have put light springs in the car, talking about springs of 175-pound, 200-pound rating. Now, what 175 or 200-pound means is that if you put this spring in a Raider, a spring Raider, you have to put 200 pounds of pressure on the spring to depress it 1 inch. That's what 200 pounds means. A 400-pound spring means you got to put 400 pounds of weight to depress this spring 1 inch. Now, in years past, teams have used a 175-pound spring in the left rear, maybe a 200-pound spring in the right rear, go out to qualify, and the back of the car would squat. The whole back of the car would drop maybe 5-6 inches, thus taking the spoiler down out of the wind. Well, NASCAR said we're not going to have that anymore. When the cars squat, they scrape the racetrack, they're real unstable, they're dancing around. We don't want that anymore. We're going to legislate that out by hanging weight on the side of the car so the car can only squat 3/8 of an inch at inspection. However, some of the teams have figured out a way maybe to get around that. Here's what they have done. Now, I told you this spring is rated 200 pounds. That's how much weight it takes to depress it 1 inch. But if you depress the spring 1 inch and then depress it a 2nd inch, it'll take almost 400 pounds to move it the second time. So if you still put the little bitty spring in the car, but yet you preload it, meaning you make it a taller spring, say 16 inches, so you put it in the bucket and it's preloaded 1 inch down. Then they hang the weights on the car and try to depress it another inch. It'll take 400 pounds to depress it. But once you get on the racetrack and the car starts bouncing, that spring goes back to a 200-pound spring and will let the back of the car flex down, and thus the speed returns. Some of the teams have figured that out. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, this is the spoiler on Ward Burton's MBNA Pontiac, and that's used to measure the spoiler angle. Right now, it should say 45 degrees. It just turned on, and it does. If it's more than that, then you're in trouble. You could go to 60 if you want to, but I don't think you'd want to. But 45 degrees is where you want to be. Obviously, if you put the weight on the back here of this tool, this is 18 pounds, and that basically serves as the force that the wind will use to push this spoiler back. So with this 18-pound weight, you basically simulate the car running, and then you get the 45-degree spoiler angle, and Ward is still perfectly legal as he sits here on pit road. Actually, he's standing here on pit road, and he's talking to Rick Mast, two guys that are anxious to get out and qualify. And we'll get a word first with you, Mr. Burton. Obviously, this is, tell me how your first day or so has gone down here.
Well, the Busch Class car is about middle of the road. It's running pretty good. Tell you, all my guys in the B&A team worked awful hard this year. They worked 3 months on these two cars, but we still can't seem to get up to speed for 2 laps. I don't know where it's at, but we got to go back home and try to figure it out again.
Okay, you're discussing things here with Rick Mast, who's made a move to the 75 Remington Arms car. How about your ride, sir?
My ride? Oh, I'm tickled to death, man. Got a new sponsor, Remington, new team, Butch Mock, new owner. Looking forward to it. Not really looking forward to today so much. We're kind of a little bit behind the 8 ball. The guys worked hard, though. I told them, I said, we need 2 things at Daytona, and this is true. You got to have a decent lap on qualifying day, and then get the car where you can stay wide open for Thursday and Sunday. If they can do them 2 things, we got it made.
If you make the top 25 today, will you be in the field no matter what you do in the Twins?
Yeah, probably should do it, but I mean, you've seen funny things happen here in the qualifying races. You get taken off. I had to use my speed last year to get in, because we got screwed up in the qualifying race, but this is Daytona. It's our Super Bowl.
The best person you could ever ask about that, and unfortunately he's not here with us anymore, is Elmo Langley. Everybody in the garage could go to Elmo about second round qualifying or what would happen in Daytona. He always had the answer.
And he is missed, guys.
Very much so. They have named Buster Auten as the replacement for Elmo as the driver of the pace car on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit for 1997. Back with more from Daytona in a moment. Well, the trucks are the only thing on the racetrack at the moment. They are drying the surface, and they are making headway. It is almost dry. We've got some jet dryers down in turns 3 and 4, where Ernie told us that it was the worst. And I would imagine that within the next 5 minutes, hopefully, we will get some qualifying underway here. This shower occurred about, what, 1:45, something like that, just before we went on the air and just while everybody was getting keyed up for the big moment.
That is what you're seeing is the jet engine on the back of that pickup that's running, and the exhaust is blowing on the racetrack and drying it off. Hey, all the trucks going on off the racetrack into the infield. So that means that's good news. Pretty soon we're going to be seeing race cars going around the Big D.
Jerry Punt standing by on pit road with Brett Bodine.
This is the 1-year anniversary of Brett Bodine's debut as a car owner in Winston Cup racing. And Brett, that's a year last year at Daytona that you want to forget.
Well, that's for sure, Jerry. After the week we had last Speed Weeks, yeah, we're struggling here this week, but nowhere near what we went through last year. And that was a tough go of it. It showed what this race team was made of.
Now, you lost the car in the first practice session last year. It burned up basically from a carburetor, fuel problem in the carburetor. Then you lost the car, destroyed a car in the qualifying race, brought the original race car back. And although you didn't qualify, well, the car raced pretty well.
It really did. During that 500 last year, we started at the back of the pack and got ourselves up into the top 10 a couple times. And we had a great race car, and then we showed it again here in July by qualifying way in the back, 36th, and ended up finishing 8th. So it's a situation where we just don't seem to have a good qualifying combination. We're going to have to race our way into this 500 on Thursday. I feel confident that we can do that. We're just not going to have the speed today. Hopefully we can find some more speed, but I'm confident we got a good race package for Thursday.
All right, folks, Close Call is the name of the sponsor. That should sort of sum up his season last year, and particularly here at Daytona Speed Weeks. If there was a category for colorful race cars, this guy would probably be at the top of the list. This car has every color in the rainbow on it, which you'll see momentarily in qualifying. Let's go down pit road to Bill Weber.
With the reigning Winston Cup champion, Terry Labonte. I shouldn't say reigning, probably, right?
Yeah, it is raining.
Obviously, you should be qualified by now, but you have to sit here and patiently wait. And it hasn't been a great 24 hours or so for you, has it?
Well, it really hadn't. We haven't really run very well, and we don't really know why. We've struggled just a little bit. we kind of want to get qualifying here out of the way and go to work on our race setup. Hopefully we'll be okay for the race, but we're off a little bit for qualifying.
Yeah, you said you don't know why, and obviously if you knew why, you'd be faster.
Yeah, we'd fix it, but we've got a good car, and I know we've got a good engines and everything, and I don't know, we just can't seem to get as much speed out of it as we need for qualifying.
So what's a successful effort for you here? Obviously inside the top 25?
Oh, if I could be in the top 20, I'd be happy right now, but it's going to be close.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Terry Labonte, that is not Terry Labonte's race car. What is that? A Chevy? Old Chevy?
Some Camaro, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
It's like a Camaro painted up just like Terry Labonte's race car.
Anyway, he will be 6th out when the weather breaks and the track is dry and we're allowed to go onto the racetrack, and we anticipate that happening in just a matter of moments. Ernie Irvan is in his car, and we are less than a minute away from starting qualifying, Busch Pole qualifying for the 1997 Daytona 500. The rain has moved out, and clouds remain over the racetrack, but nevertheless, the track is dry, and we're almost set to go.
Ernie qualified on the outside pole last year. Of course, Dale Earnhardt won the pole for the Daytona 500 in 1996. Ernie was on the outside. Went on to win 2 races during the season.
Been waiting for. The engine has been started. The car is rolling, and here we go.
And Ernie Irvan should give us a very, very good indication just what it's going to take to be on the pole.
He was the fastest in practice this morning. However, you heard him say that it was not a clean lap. That is, maybe he got some drafting help from somebody. So he perhaps doesn't think he can take the pole position, but you never know what's going to happen.
As a matter of fact, this morning he said he ran 189.869 miles per hour and 47.40. But once again, he said he was getting some help.
Down the long backstretch, Dale Earnhardt's pole speed last year was 189.510, 47.491. Ernie Irvan into the banking up between turns 3 and 4. Here he comes off of the corner.
New crew chief Mark Reno. Let's take over for Larry McReynolds, who moved on to Dale Earnhardt's Goodwrench Chevy.
And the green flag is out. Ernie Irvan is on the clock and on his first of 2 laps of qualifying, and we'll probably see the second lap faster than the first for the most part, because these engines need that much to get up to speed.
They do, with the restrictions NASCAR puts on the carburetor restrictor plates. It does take them a full lap to get up to speed.
Last year we saw the back of the car would really squat down like Jerry Punch was talking about with these soft springs. This year they're maintaining more or less the same silhouette they take off on pit road.
Here he comes into the tri-oval area to complete lap number 1.
Doug Gates, closest to us, his father Robert.
He's done himself a good lap here, fellas, on the first lap. Normally they pick up 0.2 to 0.25 of a second on their second lap. And if he does that, he's going to have a good lap, a good qualifying speed.
188.159, a 47.832 second lap. Ernie Irvan, of course, was the winner of the Daytona 500 in 1991. He finished 35th in the race last year. Here he is once again off the 4th corner and looking for the checkered flag to complete the run.
If he can pick up a quarter per second, he's going to be down in the 50 bracket. He didn't pick up that much, I don't believe.
So Ernie Irvan completes qualifying. It's going to be an awfully good time.
And it's a 188.826 mile an hour lap. And Bill's with Robert Yates.
And right now we just finished talking to Ernie. Well, you're on the pole for now. How does that measure up, Robert? How will that stand?
Well, if everybody else do something wrong. But no, that's not going to be near the pole, I don't believe. But you know, we had to be first out. We didn't get to judge off anybody else. We're a little bit
I guess we got to be happy with that. That's really what we ran in clean air this morning.
Is your 88 car a legitimate threat for the pole, Robert? Is the 88 a legitimate threat for the pole?
Well, again, you know, here he had cars on the track 6 seconds ahead of him. 6 seconds ahead of him gave us 3/10 this morning. So, but now it's going to be, we're going to find out what they got now.
All right, that's Robert Yates, 90 car, Dick Trickle on the track.
Yes,
Wow.
indeed. And Dick Trickle ran a 188.332 yesterday, putting him third on the speed chart. Seems a little bit down from that in this morning's practice.
I'll tell you what, that was close. Ernie Irvin was coasting in after his run. And Dick Trickle actually passed Ernie on the racetrack up in the third and fourth corner.
48.257, 186.501. First lap for Dick Trickle.
I don't know if that had any effect on him. It should have helped him, if anything, but he might have had to back off a little bit when he saw that car. I don't know.
That's right. It is considerably slower than he ran this morning and yesterday in practice.
He seems to have a good lap going here.
And Trickle is about to complete the run, and our chief spotter, Kevin Clark, says he smells something in the air. Could be from the 90 car. Let's see how he does on his second lap. 48.25 was lap number 1.
I believe he'll get in the 47-second bracket on his second lap.
And it's a 47.923, 187.801. So he is still second quick, and Jerry is with Ernie Irvin.
Well, Ern, you were the first guy out. You were the guinea pig, 47.66. Not a bad lap.
No, I think it's going to be good. You know, there's no doubt it's probably going to be a good, maybe top 5, maybe top 10. But you know, there's nothing more than we'd like both Robert Yates cars to be on the front row.
I know this morning people were saying you might have had a little bit of a tow when you ran about 47.40, but by yourself, just 2/10, that's not too bad.
No, it's not. And we did get some tow on that. I'm not going to tease everybody, but I feel like that's a good lap. That's exactly what I said I could run with no tow, you know, with nobody drafting. I felt it was good.
All right, Ernie, congratulations. Well, let's go get the picture taken. So he sets the pace, guys.
And here is a young man who was very fast in the practice, 187.574 in this morning's session. This is Loy Allen, who is turning a 48.066, a 187.243, third quick of the 3 that we have had so far. The pole speed is there on the bottom. That belongs to Ernie Irvin at the moment. Here's Loy between turns 3 and 4 on the last lap.
If he picks up a quarter of a second, that will easily move him in the second spot.
In fact, if he picks up as much as Dick Trickle did, it might move him close to Ernie Irvin's speed, because Trickle really picked up a lot.
Checkered flag waves. Loy Allen from Raleigh, North Carolina, has completed his qualifying run. And the second lap for Loy Allen puts him in second place, 47.752, a 188.474 for Loy Allen. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Daytona, and welcome all of you who are watching ESPN News. We are live at Daytona International Speedway for Busch Pole qualifying. There is Ward Burton, who just completed his run at 185.607. Ernie Irvin, Loy Allen, Dick Trickle, and Ward Burton are the 4 qualifiers that we have had to this point. Qualifying was delayed slightly because of a rain shower that we had move over the speedway about 1:45 Eastern Time. 188.8 is the pole speed at the moment, and trying to knock that or better that is Rick Mast, car number 75.
Well, on the first lap, he didn't do it, but according to my official clock here, we'll get the official word here in a moment.
Ran a 186.521 in practice this morning. And Rick Mast has a 185.912 on the first lap. Jerry?
Well, Loy Allen getting some congratulations from the veteran Donnie Allison. Loy, 47.752, second fastest. You backed up what you've done in practice all week.
Yeah, the car feels really good. And, you know, I have to hand it to TriStar Motorsports. You know, we came down with a brand new sponsor, Child Support Recovery International, and you know, these guys worked hard all year testing and really had a good time. I mean, you always want to be on the pole, but, you know, we wondered about making the race earlier in the year, so this is good for us.
Talking about a recovery, this man took 10 weeks off last year and came back strong at the end of the year. He has recovered completely.
And good to see Lloyd back in the cockpit and doing a great job. Second lap for Rick Mast was a 48.212, a 186.676.
And that's not too bad for Rick Mast. A lot faster than he ran this morning in practice, and should be a good enough speed to fall back on if you should have trouble in the qualifying race.
And the defending NASCAR Winston Cup champion Terry Labonte is on the speedway at the moment. We would like to point out that there were 51 cars that drew for a qualification attempt today. And the two drivers who have been fastest in the practice, Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett, drew very high numbers. Rusty scheduled to be the 47th out and Dale Jarrett the 49th out. So we could have pole sitting speed late in the afternoon. Here you see that car that's painted identically to Terry Labonte's as he completes lap number 1.
Well, he was a little disappointed when he was interviewed down there with the speeds he's turning, and he'll be disappointed too in this first lap, I believe, Bob. However, they have been picking up quite a bit, some more than others on this second lap. His first lap, 48.427, 185.847.
And that would put him in 5th position so far. Only one car slower than Terry. That would be Ward Burton, but let's see what happens here on lap number 2.
Boy, he was very good in the Daytona 500 last year, and I predict he'll be good again this year. Sometimes they have so much downforce on these cars, they won't run good for a single lap. But in the race, this is a handling racetrack, even as fast as it is, so they can do better in the race than they can on qualifying.
So Terry Labonte completes his qualifying run.
Picks it up a little over 0.2 of a second on his second lap.
Moves him in the 4th spot, 48.153, 186.904 miles per hour.
And 6 cars have qualified. Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd await their turn on the track. Welcome back to Daytona, and you may be seeing the new pole sitter provisionally. Bobby Hillen had a good lap on lap number 1, takes the checkered flag. How'd he do, Ned, on your watch?
According to my watch, he did well. He's on the pole, according to my watch. Let's see what the official is. His first lap was 47.854, 188.072 on his first lap, and he did it, Bob.
How about that? Bobby Hillen currently on the pole for the Daytona 500 with a 188.072. Bill Weber.
With Darrell Waltrip, who's waiting to go, were you asking something?
Yeah, I heard somebody just run 191. I thought they said that's, I'm sure, the Ford.
Loy Allen just won the pole, well, provisional pole. You haven't gone yet.
No, but what did he run? That's the thing. It's fast, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, the 77.
77, Bobby Hillen. That's what I thought. Well, I just want to be best in class. That's what I told you. I want to have the fastest Chevrolet here. That means we did our homework and we got all out of what we got to work with, you know, and we'll see how it goes in the race. I'm excited for all the people. You know, Western Auto has been good to me, and I want to hang with them, and they're hanging with me, and we're going to have a great year.
You're pleased with the speeds you posted in practice?
I love what I did. If I could get that again, I'd be mighty happy.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Jerry Punch with Terry Labonte.
Well, champ, I know you would like to have run quicker, 48.153. You picked it up, though, 0.2 a second lap.
Yeah, that's really what we thought we would run. We ran almost that fast in practice, so we at least, you know, kind of repeated there from the last practice, but we're still off a little bit.
Any idea where you can find some more?
I don't know. We're just going to get this behind us there and work on our race setup and see if we can improve Thursday.
All right, you ran great last year on Sunday. Maybe you can do it again. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Guys?
Hey, good run for Steve Grissom here, 188.849. He's currently 2nd quick in the Kodiak Chevy, the Larry Hedrick-owned car. Now, I gave you the wrong speed on the provisional pole sitter. It's 189.111 for Bobby Hillen. Let's see if Steve Grissom does it.
Tell you what, should do it with ease.
Hey, he's got an awfully good first lap, the fastest first lap that we have seen here today.
Yes, he does. Now the second lap, he's just completed it. And I tell you what, if he can pick up, he might have a speed that's going to be awfully hard to beat.
He's on the pole for the moment. He betters Bobby Hillen 189.311, a 47.539. Jerry.
Well, Bobby Hillen, you were on the pole for about a lap and a half, but hey, what a run, 47.591. Someone was surprised to a lot of people.
Well, I don't think it should be too big of a surprise. We've been in the top 10 the whole time in practice. We burned a gear up the last run we made, and that's why we weren't listed fast on the last rundown. But, you know, the Lord's been really good to keep us in the sport after all the struggles we've had, and just thank him for giving me that strength, you know, and I think we got a good team this year. Federal Mogul and Jasper's, they've been sticking with us, giving us the support, and the guys have really worked hard this winter, and I think we're going to have a good year.
Well, let's go celebrate with the team. Congratulations.
Bobby Hillen currently second quick. Steve Grissom, the provisional pole sitter at Daytona. Welcome back to Daytona, where Kyle Petty has completed his qualifying run. First lap 48.651, second lap 48.284, 186.397. And on the racetrack, having just completed one lap, is Darrell Waltrip, who was fifth fastest in the morning practice session with a 47.76.
Well, you're going to have to pick it up some, Bob. 48.195, 186.741. DW will be a little disappointed with that.
Pole speed on the bottom there belongs to Steve Grissom. Darrell Waltrip right on that bottom line down on the low side of the racetrack.
Now I've got a clocking point going into turn 3, and he's about 0.2 of a second faster on this lap going into turn 3 than he was on his second lap. So he should, I mean on his first lap, so he should be a good bit better here. I think you got in the 47-second bracket.
And if he did, then he'll probably move into about the 5th or 6th spot. Certainly not what Darrell Waltrip was looking for, but nevertheless, a pretty doggone good time. There we see the water coming out the overflow. Second lap, 187.762 moves Darrell into that 6th spot. Jerry Punch?
Well, this guy hasn't sat in the Winston Cup car since June of 1996. Steve Grissom, what a way to come back. 47.539. You're on the pole thus far, big guy.
Well, it's still off early, but, man, I tell you, this Kodiak team's pretty awesome. And, you know, we come down and tested the first test, and things went real well. And the guys went back and went to work. Randy and Gail and those guys in the engine department, man, I tell you, they worked extremely hard. And come back to the second test, and we run pretty decent then. We was all happy and all. And, you know, they went back, and this particular engine right here, I think they got it off the dyno Wednesday about noon and put it in the truck, and they headed down here with it. So, you know, it's just a lot of effort, you know, not only from our engine shop, but the guys back in the car side and all. And, you know, I'm just tickled to be involved with Larry and Sue Hedricks, Kodiak, the entire bunch.
Well, Grissom's giving him something to shoot at, Bob.
Yes, he is. And coming up in just a moment or two is going to be John Andretti, who was the fastest during winter testing. There are the 11 qualifiers that we have had so far, being led by Steve Grissom, 189.318. While we were away, Lake Speed clocked in with a 186.301, 48.309. John Andretti was quick all practice period here.
He's quick on his first lap, too.
And he was quick in the winter testing. He was the quickest car. So far, 47.842. 188.119. There's a time to beat. He's got to pick up a little over 0.3 of a second.
We haven't seen many of them pick up that much, but Benny, on my clock point going into turn 3, he's about 0.15 of a second faster than anybody that I've clocked at that point. So he's got it going.
Yep, this could be the pole qualifying run here. We notice a little bit of water coming out of the car back there in turn 3. He's maxed it out. There's the checkered flag. John Andretti has qualified, but you don't think so, huh?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be about 3rd.
Okay.
Close. What did he do?
Well, look at that. Ned is so good, isn't he? 47.661, 188.834. Third quick. Jerry has Darrell Waltrip.
Well, DW, you won this thing in '89, and then 4 days ago you turned 50. So you've had a couple of milestones happen here at Daytona. Not a bad run for you, 47.933.
Yeah, it's, you know, that's off a tick. I thought we'd run in the 70s or maybe in the high 80s or, you know, low 80s, but we're happy. Everybody's done a good job, and the car looks great, and it's going to race good. That's a big thing we've been working on, getting me comfortable, you know, for the race, plus trying to have a fast car, too. So Western Auto people ought to be happy with that, and I know Sears people are, so that's all that matters right now for me. I just want to keep everybody happy.
Not only can you get the car look fast and run fast, you can comb your hair when you climb out, just look in the side, and they got the reflection. You can make sure that everything's nice and neat.
Well, I was talking to Earnhardt, you know, and I told him, I said, I bet you hope you look as good when you're 50. And I said, no, time out. You don't look that good now, so he don't have to worry about that.
TW, is that a good one, but not quite good enough.
Jeff Bodine on the racetrack. His first lap, 47.988, 187.547.
Pretty good lap. And Jeff Bodine, Lee Morse has taken over general manager of his team. They went out and found some help getting ready for the Daytona restrictor plate races. Bob Glidden and his boys came down to Harrisburg, North Carolina, and worked with Jeff Bodine's folks and found some horsepower for this QBC board.
And of course, Lee Morse is a longtime employee of the Ford Motor Company, and he has left that position to join Jeff and try to get this car in the winner's circle this year. There's a checkered flag. Jeff has completed his run, and he right now is 8th. Let's see if he moved up in that second lap.
I don't know, Bob. It's going to be, yeah, he moved up probably to about 6th.
And you're right. I'm telling you, lap 2, 47.860, 188.048 for Jeff Bodine. Ricky Rudd has just taken the checkered flag, completing his qualifying run. First lap 48, 238, 186.575. Puts him 11th quick. Let's see if he picked it up on the second lap. He did. He's up to 9th fastest with a 48.051 and a 187.301.
Bob, I think that 48.05 is a good enough speed should he have problems in the 125-mile qualifying race that he shouldn't have to worry too much. But anything beyond that, I think, might be questionable.
Bill Weber is with Jeff Gordon.
And Jeff stands here on pit road with crew chief Ray Evernham, and we'll see if we can't walk in there and get a word with him as he prepares to take his DuPont Chevy out on the track. Ray's still giving him a, hey, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good, but I haven't qualified yet.
Terry's run wasn't that good.
Ours will be a little bit better maybe, and maybe not as good. Yeah, I mean, you never know. You know, we worked real hard. I mean, we're getting the car down. We're doing everything we can with the chassis, and we just don't have the speed. But hopefully we got the downforce and some speed when it comes to race time. And I think we're going to be good when it comes to the race. But if we can break the 48 seconds, if we can get in the 47s, that's all I'm asking for. I'll be happy. But that's not easy to do for us right now.
Okay, go get your car. It went that way. Jerry Punch.
Well, John Andretti has climbed out of his RCA Ford with a big smile. John, not the pole, not the front row, but right now you're 3rd fastest.
Oh, I'm real happy with the RCA team. They've done a great job. They've worked all winter, and you know, to get a shot at the pole is one thing, and you know, we just missed it. So we'll get ready for the 125s, and I know we'll have a real strong race car there. Tony Furr and all those guys, they just always give me better and better cars, and I think the longer we're together, the more we'll improve, and we can maybe look forward to more of these days.
A lot of optimism for this team in 1997, Bob.
Jimmy Spencer has taken the checkered flag. First lap 186.633. Second lap better, 47.989, 187.543, and he is currently 9th on the charts.
Yeah, I thought I said that Rick Mast at 48.21 would be in pretty good shape, but with the speed to fall back on after 125-mile qualifying races, I think I lied. That's not
well. There's some cars running better now than they did in practice, Benny, and so yeah, I think they're going to lower that time, elapsed time around the track, down to close to 48 seconds to be able to have a good.
Here's Mike Skinner now. BP, take him around here and show me what his line is like.
Well, this is the teammate for Dale Earnhardt in 1997. Comes off turn 4, about a half a car lane. Now he'll try to make this trowel as straight as he can. Dip down to the white line. Now he'll come back up once again, trying to keep it as low as he can. And down in turn 1, right on the bottom of the racetrack. What kind of lap did he turn on that first one? Doesn't appear to be too bad.
No, I had him at 47.70, and that's what the clock had him. 47.705, 188.659.
And that is the fastest first lap I think we've had so far.
Yep.
So Mike Skinner, a great lap right in the middle of the racetrack. Now move up to get in 3 so he can get his angle right, get in turn 3 right on the bottom of the racetrack, following that white line.
And And then on my checkpoint up there going into 3, as he stays down on that bottom of that line, he is absolutely the fastest going through there. So here he comes to the checkered flag, and you can see that he'll take it right back down to the bottom again as he comes across the start-finish line. Turned himself a great lap, fellas. We got a new pole sitter.
Is that right? Mike Skinner was 4th fastest this morning in the practice, and he has moved from 5th on his first lap to the pole. Mike Skinner, 47.415, a 189.813, and Mike Skinner moves for the time being onto the pole position for the Daytona 500. We'll be back in just a moment. Today's aerial shots being provided by the Bud One Airship. Remind you that fresh beer tastes better. Johnny Benson has just completed his run with laps of 184.9 and a 185.897, a 48.414 his best lap. And Johnny's been struggling all week with the motor, and it still doesn't appear to be much better.
No, it doesn't. He's just not able to get that Pontiac up to speed. Here is Wally Dallenbach, his new ride in 1997 with Felix Sabates, the first Union Chevrolet. Felix Sabates, a 3-car team in 1997.
And the crew chief on this car is an old sprint car driver from out on the West Coast, Brad Knopfsinger, who also ran, of course, some Winston Cup races a few years ago, but he's the crew chief on this new effort.
Brad knows a lot about a race car.
We also understand that there may be a few sprinkles being felt out there. The sky doesn't look too bad right here, but of course you can have a shower over in turn 2 or turn 3 and it'd be sunny here on the tri-oval, so it's kind of spotty.
That's one thing. Well, we see the raindrops on the camera lens there.
Yep, that's over in turn 2.
48.41 for Dallenbach on his first 48.38.
Yeah,
on his first lap.
186 flat.
Put him in 16th spot of the 18 cars that have qualified. If he can pick it up about a quarter of a second, then he would move down to about 10th spot.
See how low he keeps it on the racetrack and then lets it drift up coming off turn 4.
Checkered flag awaits Wally Dallenbach. His 2-lap qualification run is over. We have had 19 cars qualify so far, and I believe they're going to hold things up, aren't they?
Looks that way. I don't see anything wrong on the racetrack currently.
Dallenbach did pick it up 48.042 second lap, 187.336. So that moves him up to the 11th position.
Well, Jerry Punch is now with the pole sitter for the moment, Mike Skinner.
Well, Mike, I don't care how much it starts to rain now. Nothing's going to rain on your parade. What a lap. 47.415. Congratulations.
Thanks a bunch. I tell you, that Lowe's home improvement car's been good ever since we got off the trailer, and I was praying that you know, we could get a lap in before it rained. Hopefully they could complete enough of qualifying that'll stick.
You said you made a little bit of a rookie mistake leaving the pits. You got a little excited. What'd you do?
Pulled out of the pits, and when I went to shift into second, I hit 4th and just about killed the motor. And then when I went around there, I took the green and went back around there, and there was debris all over the racetrack. Over there's some plastic bags or something, so I had to drive around that. I didn't know if it was a shredded tire or what it was. And maybe it was just lucky. The car got a little loose, and I heard the motor free up a little bit, and I said, this could be good.
Now everyone's going to want plastic bags on the track for their run so they can get fast.
I don't know that that'll hold up, but that should get us a good starting spot in the 125.
Hey, this Craftsman champion was trucking on that lap. He is on the provisional pole thus far.
Indeed, and it should be a good battle for Rookie of the Year honors in NASCAR Winston Cup competition this year. Mike is among the 3 drivers that could be eligible for that, Robbie Gordon and David Green.
And Bob, Mike Skinner was quoted in the paper this morning as saying the Chevrolets didn't have a chance here, that the Fords had them blown off as far as qualifying is concerned.
So the wind is picking up. We see the palm trees blowing around, and the birds are getting up anyway, getting out of town. Bill Weber.
With Sterling Marlin and starting to rain, man.
Well, we'll get it in sometime. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get it over today.
You made a big jump in the final practice. Can you make another one here in qualifying?
That's about it. We got something wrong. We hadn't found it yet, and just got a lot of work to do. And I think we'll be okay once we get the race stuff in it. And you know, we don't know if the motor's down or chassis off or what. I mean, it's just identical to the way they come off track when we tested, and just hadn't run some spin here. So been through a lot, and we're still working on it.
So you think it'll be okay in the race? You just got to get through this little test here.
Yeah, they threw a new deal on us on the weight to hanging on the cars, and what we thought, 20 pounds to fix, it took 100, and it really slowed the car down. And like I said, we found a little bit the last 15 minutes and heft it, but we need about another whole day.
Well, they throw something at Tim Brewer. Usually he finds a way to figure it out, doesn't he?
Yeah, I told him we got to figure it out, so we'll go through it and find out something.
Okay, car's going that way.
Right now, the Speedway is quiet because of a shower. Billy Standridge is scheduled to go next, and then Jeff Gordon. The sun is out here on the main straightaway, but not so over in turn 2. Here's how they line up at the moment, with Skinner and Grissom first and second, 2 Chevys.
And then a bunch of Fords: Hillen, Andretti, Irvin, Allen, Jeff Bodine, Dick Trickle. Then we start the Chevrolet, Darrell Waltrip, and Jimmy Spencer rounds out the top 10.
Then you have Dallenbach, Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte back there in 13th place at the moment, Rick Nast 14th, and Kyle Petty 15th. 3 more drivers there. Lake Speed 16th, Johnny Benson 17th, and Ward Burton has the distinction right now of being the slowest of those 18 cars.
And when we come back, we will talk to the driver who just completed his run, Wally Dallenbach, who is currently in 11th position. Here's a look ahead at other coverage tonight at 7 o'clock. RPM tonight with Kenny Mayne, and then at 8 o'clock tonight over on ESPN, Ned Benny and I will have our traditional 90-minute wrap-up show on Busch Pole qualifying. Then tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, it's the live coverage of the Arco Bondo Marhide 200 over on ESPN, followed by NASCAR Today at 4 o'clock here on the Deuce. Now, there was a crash in practice for the ARCA race this morning. Tell me about it, Benny.
Well, Perry Tripp and Ed Berrier were racing side by side through the tri-oval, and appeared that Tripp blew a right front tire. It came up into Berrier and both cars in the outside retaining wall, and I would guess both those cars are eliminated from running the race tomorrow.
We will know more about that later in the day. Let's, in the meantime, go down to Jerry Punch, who's with Wally.
Well, Wally, unfortunately, you're the one that happened to be on the racetrack when the sprinkles came, and how did it feel?
Well, it was awfully wet going into 1 and 2. The rain was raining, come down pretty hard in 1 and 2, and then it got wet inside the car there after I went through 1 and 2. So it was. I wanted to get the run in, though. I knew it was going to rain, and we're pretty happy with that. That's faster than we've run since we've been here. The guys have worked their tails off, and hopefully that'll be good enough for the top 25 in time.
What about the Pontiacs this year? I mean, there's some concern that maybe the cars would be even better than everyone thought they'd be at Daytona, but that's really not what's been proven out so far.
Well, we're in the Monte Carlo, so I'm not too concerned about the Pontiacs. But I think the Fords are showing their hand here. They're awfully strong, and it's going to be tough to beat those guys. I just hope we can have a bunch of GM cars in my 125s on Thursday.
All right, so wet on the racetrack and wet in the race car, but otherwise a 48.042. Not a bad lap, 11th quickest.
Thank you.
Bob?
18 cars have qualified so far here today, and we are in a hole because of rain, especially over in turn number 2. It hasn't rained here on the tri-oval area or over in 3 and 4. In fact, the sun is shining over there, but rain pretty good for a while over in turn number 2, creating a wet track, and the trucks are out there trying to dry that right now. NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying for the Daytona 500 live here on ESPN2, and we're in a hold right now because of rain. 18 cars have qualified, and the fastest of all is Mike Skinner with a 47.415.
Isn't this depressing? I mean, we had things going. I mean, it was getting exciting. You know, Grissom comes along and gets the pole, and then Skinner comes along and knocks him off the pole, and doggone, then it started raining. Bill Weber, are you as impressed as we are up here?
Yes, very impressed.
Thought so.
I'm also trying to figure out what Michael Waltrip's doing here.
What is he doing?
See if we can't lean in here and find out. Hi. You hiding?
Yeah, I've been hiding for 2 days because I'm not running very good and nobody wants to talk to me.
We want to talk to you. How you running?
Not running very good. I finally come out from hiding and it started raining, so maybe that tells me something. Maybe I need to keep hiding.
So what are you going to do to make it run better?
I don't know. Eddie and Lynn are in the truck watching me. Hi guys. They said that we would struggle through today, and they're confident that when we get ready to race, we'll be good. But it has been a struggle so far, but, you know, we'll get it. I'm confident that by the time race time comes around, I'll be able to climb out of my shell, maybe.
That's got to be tough on a driver to have a car that they say won't qualify well, but trust us, it'll race well.
Yeah, but at least I'm not misinformed. I've been watching y'all's show, and Daryl's been complaining about Fords for 2 days. 10 years, but most recently 2 days. And I think there's a pair of Chevys on the front row. He's misinformed, and evidently the guys with the Chevys forgot to tell him their plan, that they was going to sandbag through practice and then win qualifying. But, you know, I don't even get to be in any part of it because I'm just running that bad. But I want to say hello to my daddy back home. He's had a little bit of a tough winter, but I'm able to sit here and smile because of him, at least, because he's been really tough through all of his troubles. And I love you, Dad.
Hey, Weber.
Hey, what?
Ask him how many more weeks of winter we're going to have.
Hey, when you came out, did you see your shadow? How many more weeks of winter are we going to have?
Oh, it looks like to me that the blue is going to set in from now till about Thursday. And then, you know, depending on how that goes, maybe it'll start sunshining after that.
Okay, Michael, you can close that now. We'll leave you alone.
Okay, I'm going to go back in my shell.
Hey, Benny, it doesn't take long for that manufacturer bickering to start, does it?
No, it really doesn't, Bill.
Okay, well, you see the track drying operation still going on. The tow trucks are out there trying to get the moisture up out of the racetrack, as well as the jet dryers. They're making progress. We should be back to qualifying soon. We're live at Daytona for NASCAR Winston Cup Busch Pole qualifying. However, it is raining, or at least it has rained in the last few minutes here at the Speedway, and the track drying operations are going on. If you're on your computer this afternoon, you might punch in www.nascar.com. That's NASCAR Online, where you get all kinds of information about the 12 different NASCAR divisions, or your favorite driver, or whatever. You can get up-to-the-minute qualifying results if you're on there this afternoon. So check them out at www.nascar.com, NASCAR Online. Well, we're craving for something. Maybe an interview with Ricky?
Works for me. Hi, Ricky.
Hey.
New team, new crew chief, good car, new year, slow start.
You didn't tell me we were on.
We're on now, pal.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit slow, but, you know, it's hard to figure this stuff out. You know, the one thing that you know for sure is your right foot all the way down and is your left foot laying over against the roll bars, because that's all you can do. But how these Hendrick cars run in the race is what I'm excited about. And I've been reassured by Jeff that we'll be fine.
How much is this new tough inspection affecting these cars? Because it's surprising. You know, Terry Labonte usually qualifies well. He's having problems. A lot of fast guys aren't going fast. Is inspection playing a role in this?
Well, Daytona and Talladega is so much different than any other type of racing we do, and inspection at Daytona and Talladega are so much different than anything we do, and it's a tremendous amount of work. And winning the pole at Daytona or Talladega is a compliment for the crew chief. It's a reflection on how much effort he puts into the body and the car and the setup, and I hate to say it, but how creative he can get. And because you're dealing with several elements that you can't control, but I like it here at Daytona. I love the atmosphere. The fans come from all over. I got a lot of fans from New England come down. I'm going to enjoy the week. I want to put the Budweiser Chevrolet in Victory Lane, either Busch Clash, Twin 125s, Daytona 500. But I'm real excited about 1997.
Okay, well, you have to go through inspection before you come out here, and you have to go through inspection after you get done out here. And for more on post-qualifying inspection, here's Dr. Punch.
Well, Bill, you're exactly right. You know, you think the pole is won on the racetrack, but no, not the case at all. If you ask the NASCAR officials, they'll tell you that the pole sitter, the guy who's going to sit on the pole, it'll be won right here, because at the end of qualifying, they will line up all the top 10 on pit road. Then they will walk them through the gate. The cars will come right in here and have to go across these scales to meet weight. Remember, not just 3,400 pounds anymore, but 3,400 plus, a derivative of how much their driver weighs. They had to add weight this year, the new NASCAR rule. And then at the very end, that little height stick there, that is where the roof height must be met. Come along, we'll walk inside this building here and you'll show you. The cars will come right along the scales here, come right up on this red pad, and then they will drop this little height gauge onto the roof. And if the car does not meet the height, you have not qualified for the Daytona 500, and you definitely will not sit on the pole. So the pole sitter will be determined right here within the hour following qualifying.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Do they have to go back to the room of doom?
I know, but no, Benny, they will not have to go back through the room of doom next door where they add the weight to the side of the car.
Right.
All they're going to do post-qualifying is check the heights. They're going to check, basically, they'll check the front air dam height. They'll check some ground clearance, and, of course, the height here. Now, if they have any suspicions, they have the option to take them back through all 18 parts of inspection. And as I told you this morning in our practice show, they could even X-ray if they think there may be some skullduggery going on, might be getting some air from beneath the car. They have the option to X-ray. But this is the primary, the height stick they're going to go through. We'll show you here. The car goes through this little height measure here, then they drop it down, and as long as the little green shows, that's when the car is legal. If it gets down to where the blue shows, you're illegal. So, folks, you want to have it to be total green. All green means that you're in the top 10 or maybe on the pole for the Daytona 500.
Pretty simple.
How about that? Thank you, Doc. Well, Jeff Gordon and I believe Ken Schrader have been on the racetrack in a pace car determining whether or not the track is raceable or not. The trucks are pulling off. So apparently we are about ready to resume qualifying for the Daytona 500. Stay with us. The track has dried, and within the next minute, they're going to roll off a car, and we're going to resume qualifying here at Daytona. We're going to get another quick break in here before Billy Standridge rolls off the line, and he will be followed by Jeff Gordon. As Busch pole qualifying continues, right now, Mike Skinner on the provisional pole for the Daytona 500. Billy Standridge is on the racetrack, and he has been 38th quickest in the practice session. 185.697 has been his last lap, and that car is bottoming out pretty good in the corners.
Yes, it really is down at 1 and 2. It's really bottoming out.
First lap is completed. Bad news is sprinkles are being felt again by those here in the tri-oval area. And we're waiting the first lap for Billy Standridge, and the rain is picking up, but Jeff Gordon is rolling. First lap, whoa, and he spins and bangs the wall.
I wonder if it was raining hard enough that it caused him to break loose, or what the situation is. Of course, Jeff Gordon will be waved off. Jeff had already left the pits. Tough break here for Billy Standridge. Didn't have a bad lap that first time, 48.300, 186.335.
Certainly not the slowest. In fact, he moved to 16th, but boy, he hit the wall pretty hard with the back end of that car.
Yes, he did. They will not be able to use that car in the Daytona 500. And
Jeff Gordon on the racetrack, but of course he will be called in, Jerry.
He will be called in, Bob, and unfortunately what happens here in Daytona, and it's nothing where you can really plan for, when the showers are this light, just a mere mist falling, it will not show up on the weather radar. So even people watching the radar like NASCAR is, they cannot predict that the shower is going to hit. When the car comes by here in the tri-oval where we're standing, there isn't rain. But the car gets to turns 1 and 2, and suddenly a shower, a brief little blurb of air, and rain will come down, and you can't even feel it over here. And as the car had gone by, it was not raining here, and unfortunately, no one could even begin to predict that it was going to hit.
Well, that's really a tough break for Billy, who's one of those guys who really needs to get in the race and get some money.
Well, we see him going to the corner now. We watched him go through the corner the first time, and he bottomed out heavily about this spot on the racetrack. And I don't know if it was, you know, what would cause it. It might have been that he bottomed out over just a little bit, because when these cars bottom out, it does upset them.
Roof flaps deployed and kept him on the racetrack, but boy, extensive damage there to especially the left rear of that race car. So we are once again in a hold situation. There is Billy. He is out of the car assessing the damage, and he appears to be in good shape. So we'll take another break and be right back to Daytona. ESPN2's unprecedented coverage of Speed Weeks 97 at Daytona. It began with the 24 hours. Now we present NASCAR Winston Cup Busch Pole Qualifying, and it's all being brought to you by Daytona, USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction, located just behind the tri-oval here at Daytona at the main gates. Well, Billy Standridge has crashed on his qualifying attempt here at Daytona, and so we are once again in a hold situation. Standridge is out of the car and is okay. But let's go back and examine this and play it in slow motion and see if we can see anything or determine what might have happened.
There we see Standridge in the Haynes car cruising along, and we're going to slow this thing down. Right there, you see that? Just back it up a little bit. Right there, you see, it looks to me like that the car bottomed out. Right there, and then it's going to lose control. When these things bottom out, it really does upset the car, and I believe that's what caused the problem with Standridge. And again, but you want to get the car as low as you can. Jerry Punch has talked about, you want to get the car as low as you can. The lower they are, the faster they'll run.
Billy's okay. Let's go down to Bill Weber, who's with Dale Earnhardt.
And also Larry McReynolds, the combination the fans and the competitors are talking about here as we come to Daytona. First of all, Dale, your teammate has the provisional pole. You guys are fast, and you were pretty quick in the last session as well.
I think he's got the pole.
You do, huh?
The 2 car and the 88 car is the only ones I think that can beat him, and that's a good time. That's faster than he tested and faster than he ran in practice. So maybe we can run faster than we tested and faster than we ran in practice. So we'll see.
Everybody was saying Fords, but now it looks like Chevy.
Well, they pulled out something that we hadn't seen all day, I think, and maybe our car will pick up that much speed, I hope.
Obviously, you'd love to win the Daytona 500. How much is this guy going to help you?
He's going up tremendously. He already has. It's already started working toward that. And we'll give up the pole and maybe one more race before the 500 and to win the 500.
How about it, Larry? You happy?
Oh, yeah. I'm as happy as I've been in a long time. You know, this guy here, Richard Childress, all these guys, they've made me feel like I've been a part of this program for a long time. And that's made the transition, because there's a lot of differences, but that's made it really come quick and easy. And, you know, if we can't get the pole, we're proud of Mike Skinner, Kevin Hamlin, those guys. They've worked hard this winter. Kevin Hamlin, he's a great racer, and I think it's a name that people's going to recognize here before this year's out.
You'll take the 500 over the pole anytime, right?
Absolutely.
Same with you, right?
Same with me.
Okay, Jerry Punch.
Well, Bill, further up pit road, Jeff Gordon has pulled his Chevrolet back in. Now, NASCAR is watching the crew, and they're going to let the crew do a few things to the car. Let me ask Ray Evernham, what are they going to let you do to the car to be able to go back out?
Well, what they're going to try and do is be as fair with us as they can. They're going to hopefully let us cool it back down a little bit, because you know, that was kind of an act of God. So the NASCAR's trying to be as fair as they can, letting us at least cool the water back down, so we could run the same amount of tape as everybody else.
And you're allowed to plug the oil heater back in to keep the oil temperature up?
Right. They're giving us the same as everybody else on pit road has. You know, their water is at a certain temperature, and they're going to let us plug our oil and everything back in. You know, it's a Daytona 500, and every thousandth of a second counts, so we have to be really careful.
So when the track is dry, will you be the first to go out?
Oh, yeah, we'll be the first to go out, and you know, honestly, that might not be a bad thing. You know, if the track's cool, we just got to make sure we get the oil hot and the water cold.
All right, Ray Evernham, I'll let you get back to the car. What they are trying to do, they have a cooler laid on top of the engine. They're going to blow air in on top of where the valve covers are in the intake, that big fan blowing there. And, of course, if you go back by the driver's door, there's a look at the engine. If we tilt to the right back by the driver's door, you can see the fact that they have the oil temperature generator. They have the oil heater plugged back in, and this is the temperature gauge inside the oil reservoir showing 258, 259 degrees. That is the oil temperature inside the car.
Now, folks, when Jeff Gordon went out of the pits, he accelerated full, like he was going on his qualifying run. That's what he expected to do before Billy Standridge spun out down there. So he used up part of his qualifying package there. They pushed that car out on the pit road after it went through inspection. They didn't want that engine fired until he was ready to go, accelerate out of the pits. So now they got to try to get as close to back to that as they possibly can.
And this happened to him. A similar situation happened a few races ago, didn't it, last year?
At Michigan, I guess it was year before last. It was raining. The racetrack was wet, and Jeff Gordon was out there. Remember, we were talking to Dale Earnhardt, and he said, "No, Gordon's going to come back in," but Jeff went on by and crashed. Did about the same thing Standridge did up in 3 and 4 at Michigan.
Okay, well, they continue to dry the track here, and they continue to get the debris off of the racetrack. There's Billy Standridge's car at the back end of a tow truck. We welcome those of you watching ESPN News live to Daytona International Speedway, where we are under caution here at Daytona because of an accident that occurred during a qualifying run just a few moments ago. Billy Standridge went down into corner number 1, and the car got out from under him.
Looked like it might have bottomed out just a little bit. We had some report of rain on portions of the racetrack, but this looks like it bottomed out, and around she went. Just upset the race car, and unfortunately he gets it into the wall. Pretty well
Hard in the wall.
Yeah.
Billy got out of the car. He is okay. Let's run down what has occurred here this afternoon. We have 19 qualifiers, and they're of the top 15, led by, at the moment, 2 Chevys, Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom.
Mike Skinner is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, 2-time champion, or one-time champion.
First year.
First year. And Steve Grissom. Then Bobby Hillin, Andretti, Irvin, the top 5. Loy Allen, Jeff Bodine, Dick Trickle, Darrell Waltrip, and Jimmy Spencer, the top 10.
And Wally Dahlem back in there in 11th. Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, Rick Mast, and Kyle Petty. Rounding up the top 15. Then there are 4 others that have qualified so far. Standridge, even on his first lap, was 16th fastest. In Lake Speed, Johnny Benson and Ward Burton.
Down to Bill Weber.
Well, here we got one guy that's already on the front row and one guy that hopes to be there. This is Ron Barfield. He starts on the front row tomorrow, and this is the guy to help him get there, Bill Elliott. How about this guy on the front row tomorrow?
Well, I'd like to be there, but obviously we're not there yet. I have to wait and kind of see how things go here in a little while.
Can you get there, do you think, Bill?
Well, I'm a little optimistic over what we run the last couple of days. We've been kind of the middle of the road. You know, we tested very well over the winter, and I was a little disappointed when we first started running here the other day. But, you know, I feel like that regardless of where we end up qualifying, we'll race well, and that's what it's all about.
You got to be thrilled to have 96 behind you.
Oh, man, I just couldn't wait to get 96 behind me the way it ended up being. But, you know, here it starts out a new year. You know, McDonald's is back with us. They've done an excellent job over the winter, and we've tried to really work hard on these race cars. We've got a lot of good people in the shop, and I feel like that we'll have some good things come this year.
Quick advice for him tomorrow?
Stay out of trouble.
Did you hear that? Stay out of trouble.
That's going to be the biggest thing tomorrow.
All right, good luck to both of you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Bill Elliott, Ron Barfield. Back up to Bob, Benny, and Ed.
And we will be here live for the ARCA Bondo Marhide 200 that Ron Barfield will be participating in at 1 o'clock Eastern Time tonight at 7 o'clock. Kenny Bain has the rundown on RPM tonight. Ned, Benny, and I will be here on ESPN for the qualifying recap show at 8. And then after the race tomorrow, there'll be NASCAR Today. That's at 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN2. Billy Standridge car badly damaged, especially in the left rear of the car. They're assessing it right now. And so it appears that this car may be history and will not be able to race any this month.
Yeah, I would say it got the frame. I don't think they'd be able to repair it.
But Billy Standridge is okay, and we appreciate those of you watching ESPN News for joining us. We're going to send you back there right now. And let's go down to Jerry Punch.
As you watch, look at what's left of Billy Standridge's Diamond Rio Ford Thunderbird. The crew had been back to talk to Billy. In fact, now they're talking to Gary Nelson, NASCAR's director of competition, about possibly what has happened. The crew members who went inside the infield care center to talk to Billy said possibly that Billy thought he may have cut a tire or had a tire going down in the back of the car. Let me ask one of the crew members here, what did Billy say to you about possibly maybe thinking he may have cut a tire?
That was a possibility. He said it felt like the left rear tire went down on the car, but obviously it was the right rear tire because it is flat.
How bad is the car hurt? How bad is it damaged?
Oh, this one's history. We'll have to cut this one apart and start over again.
Do you have a backup car to come out for second round qualifying on Monday?
Not that I want to speak of.
So maybe your shot is over.
No, we pull magic tricks out of the box every once in a while. You never know. Just like Atlanta last year.
All right, Atlanta's when they came out from way back and were able to make the starting lineup. But this car, as you say, they will probably have to cut the rear clip off. The entire back section of the car is buckled in, and they will actually go underneath where the frame rail is. If I were to show you on the side of the car, it's just behind the C-pillar right here. They will have to cut the car off from here back, and basically replace the entire rear frame section. Now, that can be done, but it is a ton of work, and there are 2 more qualifying sessions available here, one Monday and one Tuesday, for a chance at running the 39th annual Daytona 500. We're under a delay here at Daytona. Back with more live Busch Pole qualifying after this.
There is the Bud 1 airship, and it's providing the best seat in the house, flying high over Daytona International Speedway to bring us the shots from where it's a little windy. It's rocking a little bit, isn't it?
Oh, baby's that thing rocking and rolling to get me down from there.
Well, speaking of rocking and rolling, the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers will go at it tomorrow at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Both teams fighting for home ice advantage in the playoffs. That's on ESPN tomorrow at 8 o'clock. The Rangers and the Florida Panthers. We know where Bill Weber will be at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. He will be in front of the TV watching his favorite team, the Rangers, try to beat Florida. Well, the rain is over, and looks like they're rolling Jeff Gordon's car up there at the top of your screen.
And I want to add, they're slowly rolling Jeff Gordon's car up there, trying to let that thing cool off just as much as it possibly will. I guess Jeff Gordon must be in the car. And again, they don't want the water warm at all. They want cold water, hot oil, because they're going to accelerate. There we see Jeff Gordon in the car with his helmet on, so we should be going here in just a second. Because in 2 laps, the water is going to be as hot as it possibly can. They tape all the openings up in the grills where the air would normally go in and cool the water. They tape all of it up because that makes the car go faster.
Just a little bit slicker aerodynamically, but it's enough for a 1/10 or 2/10 of a second.
Yes. The car's got headlights. No, folks, that's not glass. That's just that is just a decal. It looks like a headlight.
Yep. So Jeff Gordon will be the next qualifier out. After him, Larry Pearson, Sterling Marlin, and Brett Bodine. And down to Bill Weber.
Ray Evernham, did you get your car back in a pretty good configuration as best you could?
Yeah, as best we could, but not the right way. You can't control it. You kind of act to God, but I still think it would have been fair to let us go back and be able to start where everybody else is starting. This is the Daytona 500, It's a Super Bowl, and it's just a shame, but we're still going to go for it. But probably what's going to happen, the car's going to overheat, and it's going to slow down a little bit on the second lap. But, worse things have happened.
Obviously, you're waiting as long as you can to go back out.
No, not really. It really doesn't make a difference. You'd need to run cold water back through it. We were waiting. We were hoping it'd rain so everybody'd be in the same boat. But, we're just going to have to take what we get, and work on our race setup. We didn't really have a shot at the pole anyway, but we needed everything we could get to get a good starting spot in the 125, and that's what everybody's after. So we're just going to have to hope for the best. This is the most tape we've ever had on with the hottest water, so we're about to see how good Randy and those guys are. Charlie, if you're watching this, you're going to be putting head gaskets in this one.
Okay, we'll be watching with you.
Larry Pearson is on the racetrack in the Bud Moore car, number 15. Doesn't have a sponsor on it. They're looking, and we'll see what Larry can do. He has been so far in the practice only up to about 184.3 miles an hour.
This is another one of those cars that I talked to Greg Moore yesterday, who's the team manager for Bud Moore Engineering there, and he said that this car will race good. Said all we got to do is get it in the race.
Jerry Punch has some more on Larry Pearson.
And Ned, you can probably understand this better than anyone else because you're a father and you have a son in this race. A moment ago, David Pearson, Larry's dad, climbed in the pace car and said, I want to take a lap on this racetrack and make sure myself that this track is dry and clean before my son goes out and tries to qualify wide open. And indeed he did.
Here's the white flag, lap number 1 and 2 completed for Larry Pearson. He becomes our, 19th qualifier of the day?
20th, I believe.
20th, yeah.
Not a good lap for Larry on his first lap here.
First lap, 48.698, 184.813. That's currently 20th position. He should pick up about a quarter of a second on his second lap, but that still is not going to be enough to still put him about 17th or 18th.
It is better than he has turned in the practice, though, so maybe he'll find a little bit more here. There's the rundown so far. Skinner and Grissom top the list. Remember, we're only qualifying the front row for the Daytona 500 here this afternoon. The first and second positions And the checkered flag comes out for Larry Pearson. Pick it up a little, Ned?
Yeah, he picked it up some, Bob. He's going to still be close to moving up one position. I don't think he'll move any more than that if he moves at all.
Jeff Gordon moves on to the 2.5-mile track. It's 48.479, a little bit quicker, 185.647. He is currently the slowest qualifier of the 20 we have had.
Jeff Gordon has taken the green flag. He's down in turns 1 and 2. He's off and running.
Jeff Gordon turned in the 6th fastest speed last year during first day qualifying, and Jerry Punch has more from down in the pit area.
Well, Bob, as you watch Jeff Gordon get ready to qualify, the wind has picked up. Take a look at the flags up and down pit road. The wind actually gusting directly from the west to northwest. It's actually blowing toward the beach, which means the wind will be at Gordon's back as he comes off turn 2, but he'll be bucking a headwind as he comes out of turn 4. Right now, the wind is right on his nose as he's headed into turn 1.
Ray Evernham doesn't look particularly pleased with that lap.
And I didn't have him, so I don't know.
That was the impression I got. He was not very happy.
He was 13th fastest in the morning practice. What is it, Benny?
48.28, 48.288, 186.382. Currently, 16th spot. If he could pick up a quarter of a second, he would move up to about 11th or 12th, about where his teammate Terry Labonte is. But right now, this is the spot that Evernham is concerned about the car slowing down, the water getting so hot. And when these engines, the water gets hot, the cylinder walls start expanding the car, you can just feel it start slowing down and losing RPMs.
Checkered flag comes out. Jeff Gordon completes the qualifying run.
Picks it up about a quarter of a second.
That's about what we've seen on everybody from lap 1 to lap 2. Jeff Gordon moves up to 13th position, 187.274. Bill?
13th right now. 13th right now. About where you expected after what happened?
No, you know, it's a little slower, but like I said, it could have been a lot worse. You know, I felt like we should have run into 47s, maybe a 90 or 95, but, you know, it could have been a lot worse. Now we'll just have to get ready to go and race. I hope we don't get bumped back too far, but I got a feeling we will. But, you know, Jeff's off a good in the draft, and we'll have to wait and see what happens Thursday.
Okay, thanks for stopping.
Sterling Marlin has been a real disappointment in terms of speed so far. 15th fastest this morning. He was 20th fastest yesterday. 48.012, his best lap, 187.453. He's about to complete lap number 1 of his official qualifying run.
And he didn't have a very good speed going into turn 3, Bob, and I don't think his overall lap speed is going to be too good. No, it won't be. I got him about a 48.40.
You know, Sterling Marlin, we talked to him just a moment ago, and he said there's something wrong, and they just can't find it. They cannot put their finger on what the problem is.
Tim Brewer is the new crew chief on this car. Tony Glover has gone to Sabatis. Lap 1, 48.491, 185.601. So he's well off where he was this morning.
As a matter of fact, that is the slowest time so far, but he should pick it up about a quarter of a second. That still would get him down about 14th or 15th at best.
Back in 1992, he was pole sitter for the race. He won the race in 94 and in 95. Here he comes to the checkered flag.
It's going to be disappointing, Bob. He picked up some, but not nearly enough.
48.491 was his first lap. Lap number 2, did it move him up from 22nd? Yep, all the way to 16th. It's a 48.223, 186.594 for Sterling Marlin. We'll be right back. Checkered flag has just gone out to Brett Bodine. First lap, 48.670, 184.919. He's the slowest of all so far. Second lap, we are awaiting. There it is. He's 23rd, still the slowest. 48.499, 185.571. Jerry's with Jeff Gordon.
Well, Jeff, first you were going out, then you weren't going out because you had to come back in, and you went out again. But 48.058, obviously, you're not real happy.
Well, you know, I mean, I feel like that cost us a 10th because you cool the water down with ice and get it where you want it to be. And then I went out and, heck, the water temperature went right up. we weren't able to cool it down with ice water. We only could circulate, but you know, it probably cost us a 10th, and heck, a 10th wasn't going to do us a whole lot better, except for our egos. We would like to have been in the 47s, which we were in that last practice, but we came here to race. We didn't come here to qualify, and we'll get ready for that.
Skinner and Grissom and those guys, they picked up 3 and 4 tenths today. Anyone got a shot at them?
Man, who knows? I haven't been in that ballpark all weekend, so I don't know who's got. I haven't even been watching who's fast and who's not. We've just been trying to pick up our own speed, but those are some unbelievable times. I don't know where they found it. I wish they'd tell us a little bit of it.
All right, Jeff, you'll get them come Sunday.
Thank you.
That's Strickland, 48.585, 185.242. He's the slowest now.
See Larry McReynolds getting that rear spoiler adjusted just right. Bill Weber?
Yeah, just leaning in. It was 44.5, so they're going to push it up to, looks like 45 even right now, and Larry McReynolds is going to tighten that. But Strickland out on the track as they work on Earnhardt's spoiler. 45.0, they tighten it down. Official looks at it, it's good to go. 45.0.
Strickland has just taken the checkered flag, and he is also up about a quarter of a second. Is that it?
Yeah, about a quarter of a second. 48.319 on his second lap, 186.262. Currently 20th fastest of the 24 that qualified.
And next on the racetrack, scheduled to be Michael Waltrip, who has finally come out of his shell to work up to speed. In terms of speed, his best was 186.552 this morning. He ran a 186.1 yesterday. So Michael Waltrip is going to be looking for speed.
We're about halfway through qualifying. 51 cars drew this morning for qualifying.
William and Leonard Wood will be inducted into the Oceanside Rotary Club Hall of Fame on Monday night here in Daytona. Very deserved honor, along with Smokey Unit.
Yeah, see, there's 3 guys that sure belong in any kind of Hall of Fame. Michael Waltrip has completed that first lap. And it was 48.559, 185.342. It's Michael in 25th spot so far.
He is the slowest until Michael came out. Brett Bodine had the slowest time, 48.49. Now his 48.55 is the slowest, and they're all shooting for Mike Skinner, who has a 47.41. Michael Waltrip, here he is off corner number 4 onto the tri-oval. And he's about to become our 25th qualifier of the afternoon. There is the checkered flag.
Fix it up some, Bob, but not enough to make him happy, I don't believe.
Second lap for Michael Waltrip is still waiting. There we go. 48.298, 186.343. So that moves him up to 18th. Almost ready to come out, Dale Earnhardt, the 7-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Ricky Craven has just qualified. He's currently 15th fastest, 48.177, 186.811. Dale Earnhardt was on the racetrack getting the car up to speed, and he has pulled in. We do understand that there are more sprinkles being felt over the racetrack.
So he had revved his Chevrolet up, got some heat in the motor, similar situation to Jeff Gordon. And
the yellow is out. Bill, what's the story down there?
Well, right after Dale rolled off, it began to sprinkle, very similar to the Gordon situation. Then it became a more intense sprinkle. Larry McReynolds went right to Jimmy Cox, the NASCAR official at the end of pit road. Cox waved his hands. Basically, I believe he was saying that he can call it off if he wants. So Larry was on the radio talking to Dale and talking to the NASCAR official. Earnhardt brought the car to pit road.
Who's running an engine down there, Bill? Whose engine is that running?
It's the 99. That's Jeff Burton's car.
Okay.
Down pit road to Jerry Punch.
Well, one driver who didn't call his lap off, and maybe you wish you would have, Sterling, 48.23. Not anywhere close to like you've run here in the past.
Yeah, Jerry, we don't know what's, we hadn't found it yet. We've worked on the car pretty hard the past 2 days, and we're missing something. Just hadn't found it, and had a real good test, and I thought we could sit on the front row and it just hadn't come to us, and just got to go back and take the car apart, and we got something somewhere. I know the car run, and it's the worst we ever qualified here, so we'll get it going. We'll be good in the race.
Is it the RPMs that are not coming up, Sterling, on the car? I know you and Dale in that last day of Chevrolet testing were out there just flying. You were among the quickest cars here, but since this week, I noticed you struggled to get the car up to speed.
Well, what's happened, they hanging the weights on the car, and when we ran at the time, it was about 1/8 slow when we tested, and we thought, well, 20 pounds fixed it, and it took 100 pounds, and it's got the back end of the car up, and we hadn't learned how to get the back end of the car out there, the spoiler, to speed the car up. And we think what we did wrong, it was we thought was going the right way, went the wrong way, we think. So we just got to probably stand on the time, and the car's going to be a good race car. It's going to draft good, and just put another motor in it and get set up to race.
Now, your secret's always been those homemade bologna sandwiches. Go get a couple of them. Maybe that'll pick up some speed for you.
We did do something bad.
All right, Sterling, let's look over Sterling's shoulder and go back here and let's show you what's happening over here in the Earnhardt car. He has come back in, and the crew, now they have pled their case to NASCAR's officials, and I got to believe that NASCAR will do exactly the same thing with Earnhardt that they did with Jeff Gordon. That is allow them to go get a cooler, a big fan to cool the car off inside, and to be able to get the temperature back down. See if I can sneak around and look at the temperature in the car. It looks like it came up to speed. It got pretty warm on that first lap.
Only 3 guys can be out here right now.
Yeah, they're being told by NASCAR that they can only have 3 people around the car.
Yeah, Jerry, a precedent has been set with Gordon there, so I would say that they're pretty well locked in.
Are they doing that now? No, I'm going to go. All right.
Trying to figure out if there Richard Childress has joined the group, trying to find out exactly what they want to do, what they can do, and what NASCAR is going to allow them to do.
Richard Childress is making a plea to the NASCAR official there.
He's the guy with his back to us with the black shirt on.
Jimmy Elledge's talking to Jimmy and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Steve Peterson, the NASCAR official, right behind Jimmy Elledge, talking to Gary Nelson and Hutchins. Right now, they've asked and they're being told what they can do.
Dave Marcus has walked into the frame to assess the situation.
Dave, of course, does a lot of things with Richard Childress Racing, testing for and with them.
Let me talk to Richard Childress. Richard, what is the discussion here? What are you going to be allowed to do with the car?
We can hook the circulator up to it, but we don't have the hose on it. We always take it off for qualifying. So, you know, all we can do now, they're going to let us put a hose on it and try to cool it that way. You know, you really need to be able to put ice water back in it to be even with everybody else. Engine's hot right now.
Let's explain to the fans at home now. In order for you to put the circulator on it, you have to put the top radiator hose back, a different hose on the top to circulate water back through. You take that off for qualifying.
Yeah, we always take it off. What we use it in practice, it's got 2 lines that you run the water to circulate the water through a external radiator with a fan and all on it. So we just have to do the best we can with it and try to get it cool enough and hope we don't burn the engine up.
Were you talking to Dale, or did he make the call himself just by seeing the sprinkles on the windshield to go ahead and come in?
Well, he said it was raining, and when he left, and then Larry said it was raining, it got a little harder, and then Larry made the call and told him to come in. I think it's a good call.
All right, they'll get the car cooled down as best they can. That's RC. Richard Childress, he owns the car. Once again, remember, you want the water as cold as you can get it. You want the oil as hot as you can get it to get the maximum speed. We'll see how cool they can get this car and how fast it'll go when we come back. Stay with us.
Just about any month of the year in Florida, you can expect or at least not be surprised by a shower, and we have had several move over the track this afternoon. It's kind of funny because we haven't seen rain down here in 2-3 weeks, but today it's been on and off.
But, you know, really and truly, we haven't had any rain to amount to anything, just enough to simply wet the racetrack. They had to dry it off. There's the rundown so far. Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom, a pair of Chevrolets, on the front row. And today, remember, we're only qualifying the first 2 positions. All these other fellows will have to run qualifying races next Thursday, and how they finish in those races will determine how they start the Daytona 500 on February 16th.
And of course, their qualifying speed today will determine how they line up for a twin 125, and it's important to start up front in one of those races. Brett Bodine now is the slowest qualifier so far at 185.571. Well, Bill Weber is with another Gordon that's going to be a regular on the tour this year, Robbie.
Robbie Gordon, what are they doing to your car here?
We had a small problem. They tried starting the car before the filter, or before the car cover is off, and it sucked car cover down the filter. Gonna try to change the filter in time to go.
Man, oh man, never easy, is it?
No, just about the time you think you have it figured out, something like this happens. But we think if we get this filter changed, we'll have a pretty good car.
Okay, you got a pretty good car, 10th in the last practice session.
Yeah, I don't think we got a shot at the pole, to be honest with you. I think I'd be happy to be in the top 10.
Happy in the top 10, huh?
Yeah.
You gonna get there?
We'll see.
Tell me about Tony Glover, man.
He's been a pleasure to work with this year. You know, to have him down here showing me the ropes, I've learned a ton here at the Speedway so far. And every time we go out and try different things, every time we gain, that's great.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, you can see the hood has gone up on the Coors Chevrolet here. And as Robbie said, what happened is they had obviously the rain cover on this car, and then they'd started it up to warm it up, and they sucked the cover into the air filter, and Tony Glover saw it happen right away, and they got permission from NASCAR to change the air cleaner here, so they're going to work on that. They're working on this car, and they're working on Earnhardt's car too.
There is Dale Earnhardt's car. They still don't have that fan like they had for Jeff Gordon's yet, do they?
They've gone after the upper radiator hose to circulate the water. We see the water here under the fellow's feet, under his left foot. That's water coming out of the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and we see him trying to sop the water up that they've lost on top of the radiator. So they're going to circulate water through that and try to get that ice cold water in the engine.
Well, it's been a very frustrating day in terms of weather. Shower now and then has put us to where we only have 26 cars qualified out of 51 that drew for an attempt earlier today. The trucks have left the racetrack, and Bill Elliott rolls out for a qualifying attempt. You can see some blue up there in the sky now, so let's hope that that was the last shower we have to contend with this afternoon. What's the situation with Dale Earnhardt? Let's find out from the doctor.
Well, we caught up with Larry McReynolds. Larry, you are cooling the car off now. How much will this whole situation hurt you?
Well, we can't possibly get it cooled down as much as we had it coming out here, plus it'd been sitting for a long time. If there's any upbeat to it, and I don't know if it's going to be a trade-off for not being able to cool it down. The wheel bearings has got a little heat in them now, gear and transmission, but just concerned now we're going to have the motor not quite cool enough and might run a little bit too warm. But, Dale come on radio and said it's raining in turn one. I mean, in 17 years, I've seen too many cars crash on wet racetrack, and this ain't no place to be reckoned, especially during qualifying. So we'll just take what we got. We got a good race car for tomorrow for the Clash. I think we'll have a good car to race.
All right, some long faces up here in the Goodwrench. Let's check in down with Bill Weber.
And standing by with Tony Glover, you changed the air cleaner in your car.
Well, they got ready to start it, and I think the car cover was over the cold air box, and it sucked the air filter in, and luckily NASCAR let us put a new one in it.
You lobbied pretty heavily, though, there, didn't you?
Well, what's fair is fair, and, they're real good about things like that. They'll work with us.
Hey, this young kid you got in your car, he's been pretty quick so far, Tony.
He's awesome, man. I tell you, he's such a pleasure to work with, and it's going to be a great year for the Coors Light team.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Talking, of course, about Robbie Gordon. Here is Bill Elliott on lap one of his qualification run. He has been running in the 48.048 mile time bracket, 187.313. He was 16th quick in the morning session. That's the completion of lap number one.
It must be a radio antenna back about the right rear spring on top of the roof.
See what Bill Elliott was able to do on lap number one of qualifying. 48.308, 186.305.
So about 9/10 of a second slower than Mike Skinner, who currently sits on the pole.
Usually they put the radio antennas, I mean, I shouldn't make too much about this. They usually put them in the center of the car, and I just wonder why that they got it on the right rear over by the top of the fork.
It's up in the wind tunnel.
Yeah.
That helped over there on that side.
Should be. Here he comes, finishing his qualifying run. There's the checkered flag from Doyle Ford.
little better lap this time. Picked up about 3/10 of a second.
So Elliott, Host down in turn 1. The engine is off, and let's see what he did. Lap 2, 47.996, 187.516 puts Bill Elliott 11th so far.
That is the best lap he has had all month here at Daytona. Okay, who's out there next?
That is
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace.
Okay.
And Mike has been struggling with the Spam Chevrolet, trying to get it up to speed.
One of the nicest looking cars out here this month, as far as I'm concerned. Very pretty colors on the car, but his speed has only been up to around 181.3 miles an hour. So Mike Wallace has a big responsibility and a big job ahead of him as he comes around to complete lap 1.
And Bob, he was about a second too slow going into turn 3, according to the faster cars. So don't believe Mike's going to have a fantastic lap here. He doesn't. We're at about 49.88.
And that would be well slower than everybody else. Let's see exactly what the reading was on lap number 1 from Mike Wallace. Car bottoming out there in the first and second turns.
Lap 1, 49.830, 180.614. And you're right, that is the 28th time so far, the 28 cars that have qualified.
Yesterday, they couldn't figure it out. They don't know. He said the car drives okay, but they don't know if it's the body on the car, the engine, or a combination of both. They just can't get speed out of it.
Spam sponsorship, of course, moving over from Lake Speed Car to this one. Checkered flag is out. Mike Wallace has become our 28th qualifier of the day.
Still the slowest one, Bob. He picked it up. So not nearly enough.
Second lap was 49.710, 181.050. There are a couple of the Roush drivers down there, and Jerry is with Bill Elliott.
Well, Billy Clyde, 48.058. Not a bad lap. Probably one of the better laps you've run this week.
Well, it's been the best we've been since we've been here. But, you know, we just keep working. The guys have worked really hard. I feel like this car will race good come 500, and we'll just have to wait and see.
We were looking at that antenna on the right panel, C panel. Is that something that you guys, is that a secret, or is that just something, just a place you wanted to put it?
Well, no better we run. I don't think it's a secret. Maybe it's what you shouldn't be doing.
You got more for him?
I don't know. We'll wait and see.
All right, Bill Elliott, 13th quickest thus far.
Here is Robbie Gordon in the number 40 Coors Light Chevrolet. He was 10th quick in the morning practice session. 187.8, a 47.90 was where he was this morning. And he's at 48.13 this afternoon with a 186.974, 15th fastest. But not a bad lap if he picks it up. In the second
if he picks up a quarter of a second like most of them have been doing. Some of them picked up more than that, but he could move right back to where he was. And he's got a good second lap going. His time going into turn 3 is much, much better than on his first lap, Robbie Gordon, so he is definitely picking it up.
Dale Earnhardt's car is being pushed to the front of the qualifying line, and here's a checkered flag for Robbie Gordon, one of the rookie contenders in the Winston Cup Series in 1997.
Yeah, he picked it up. Yeah, he got down to 47 seconds, right?
And the second lap for Robbie Gordon was 47.867, 188.021 miles per hour, puts him in 8th spot.
Not bad at all for the young Mr. Gordon coming over from the Kart PPG Series.
It's 29 cars that have completed a qualifying run here this afternoon.
And Bobby Labonte will be next, another driver who has been struggling somewhat this month. 187, 137 yesterday. He was slower than that the morning practice period. So let's see what Bobby Labonte can do. He, of course, has switched makes this year. He's driving a Pontiac for Joe Gibbs.
Talked to Joe Gibbs last night in the restaurant where we had dinner, and he said they were not pleased. He said he'd sent his plane back to Charlotte to pick up something that they hoped would help him. So we'll see.
They should be back by now, so
yeah.
We'll see if it helps them any.
Got about a 48.30 on this first lap.
Earnhardt pulls out, by the way, as we await the first lap for Bobby Labonte.
There it is, 48, 342, 186.174. That's currently 25th. And if he picks it up about a quarter of a second, he would be down to about the 15th or 16th spot. As you said, Dale Earnhardt has pulled a Goodrich Chevrolet on the racetrack to start his qualifying run as soon as Labonte finishes his. And Earnhardt's teammate Mike Skinner is on the pole, and you would think that those two cars would be awfully close.
Here is the checkered flag. Now remember, we've got several top names to qualify yet this afternoon, including Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett, who have been the fastest in practice, and they won't be out until nearly the end of the line.
Second lap for Labonte, 48.035. Picked it up 0.3 of a second, 187.363. Puts him in 13th spot so far. And again, we're about a little more than halfway through. Larry McReynolds watches anxiously as Earnhardt is off and running.
Pole sitter a year ago here for the Daytona 500.
Last year he qualified at 47.491, a 189.510.
Look him, he's pulling down there trying to get some draft off Bobby Labonte, who's coasting. There he's going past Labonte, going in the corner. He went all the way to the grass trying to get just a little bit of air.
Hey, if it gives you anything, you'll take it, huh? Quite a record for Dale Earnhardt at Daytona. Let's see, lap number 1 is about to be complete. Dale, by the way, has won 3 of the last 5 Daytona poles here at the Speedway. Not the 500, but races run here at the World Center of Racing. Lap number 1 is complete. Let's see what he did.
48.068, 187.235. That is only 17th so far. And if he picks it up a quarter of a second, he will still be no better than 6th or 7th. So he's got a lot of distance to make up.
He was better through turn 3 this time than he was the time before.
Boy, the car's like it's handling so well right on the bottom of the racetrack. Nice line. He comes for the start-finish line. It's just about over his qualifying run.
There it is. Checkered flag waves, and Dale Earnhardt has qualified for the Daytona 500.
I'm going to predict he's going to be about 7th or 8th.
All right. We'll see how.
In that neighborhood.
Well, he's 7th.
Okay.
47.834 for Dale Earnhardt, 188.151. Jerry's with Robbie Gordon.
Well, Robbie, you were 8th quickest. Now Earnhardt just ran your 9th fastest, but still a pretty doggone good run for the first time with this operation.
Yeah, you know, we've made a lot of changes over the winter. Tony Glover coming to the team is a big help. Keith Simmons and the whole engine crew back at the shop, they've done a great job with our engines. We feel we got some pretty good race cars for the race. We didn't think we could match them for qualifying.
How comfortable was the car? I know the wind's picking up out there a little bit. It's overcast. We've had some rain. Did the car feel fairly comfortable even though it's in qualifying trim?
Yeah, our car was pretty easy to drive. You know, I'm sure we pick up a couple tenths. It'd be a little more of a handful, but you know, that's all she had right now.
All right, good luck to you.
Thanks.
Bob?
Another very pretty race car here, the Pontiac of Derek Cope, sponsored by Skittles.
And he has been the fastest Pontiac in each and every practice session.
Yesterday, he ran a 187.465, 48.009 as the fastest Pontiac. And we'll see what he did here on lap 1. It's a 48.341, 186.177. And Bill Weber is with another Pontiac driver, Bobby Hamilton.
And Bobby Hamilton standing here with Robbie Loomis watching another Pontiac go around. How are you going to fare today?
I don't know. We really thought about it, you know.
You haven't thought about it?
Well, we have, but we're not really concerned about it. You know, we have a luxury of being in the top 10 in points. We know we're off, but this is a car we raced last year. We know it drafts real good and all, so if we was to make the story short, if we was to qualify dead last, we'd get ready to race. We wouldn't even attempt to re-qualify because we just don't, you know, we've done all we can do, and whatever happens. We ain't even going to try to duplicate it.
14th for Derek Cope right now. The Pontiacs, that's the best so far, I believe, off the top of my head.
Yeah, it is. I guess Labonte's second best. I guess that shows how much I've been keeping up with. I know who's on the pole.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yep, 14th fastest for Derek Cope, 48.008, 187.469. So not a bad run at all for Derek. Here is Jeff Burton.
Jeff has taken, there's the qualifying order. As so far, we have qualified 31 or 2 cars. Mike Skinner, Grissom, Hillen, you see, look down for your favorite driver. Earnhardt's in 7th spot. Darrell Waltrip's in 11th. Bill Elliott in 13th. There's 30 cars that have qualified. Billy Standridge in 25th crashed on his 2nd lap, so had to use his 1st lap. And there's the 32 cars that have qualified so far.
And Jerry has found Dale Earnhardt.
Dale, that 2nd lap, 47.834. The delay had to have hurt you.
Well, I think it did. A few things there that you're set to go on that first run. So, that's just weather. We can't do anything about that. So, we, still came back and did better really than we practiced one-on-one. We hopefully Skinner can hang on to the pole for Childress and the whole group. Everybody worked hard on Daytona and qualifying and Daytona race setups down here when we was down testing. So we get 1 out of the 2 up there, it'd be all right.
Oh, you mentioned, you guys were all joking that pole qualifying's always been almost a layup for you down here. You've won so many poles, and you've had the qualifiers and the clash, but the 500's gotten away. This year, you said, we're not really going to worry much about what happens that week until the 500, although we'd like to have it. That's not the major priority.
You worry about any time you run on this racetrack, whether you be fastest or first. It don't matter who it is.
Hey, the guys were chuckling. They said you pulled down and got a little bit of air off the 18 car. You have every trick in the book going.
Well, you got to follow the air, and I seen the air flowing down there, so I just eased on down there. I don't know whether it helped any. It really, that was the fastest first lap time I've run here since we've been here practicing. So, there's still some fast cars, 88 and 2. We'll see if Skinner can hold them off.
All right, Dale. Thanks a lot.
Jeff Burton, 2nd lap was quicker, 48.412, 185.904, and that is 28th fastest. And his teammate is on the track. This is Ted Musgrave.
Paint job a little bit different this year on the Prime Star Ford. Look how high he is.
Yeah.
Man, he's up there, isn't he?
Yeah, that is Ted Musgrave in that car. Even if you look at the helmet, it might look like Mark Martin, but it's Ted driving, and he kind of forgot to bring his helmet out here to the line. So instead of running all the way back to the rig, they ran down pit road, got Mark Martin's helmet, and gave it to Ted, and off he went. But Ted forgot his helmet.
Okay.
I thought they used to weigh the cars with the helmets on. I don't know if they don't do that now. Anyway. Boy, he came right up against that outside retaining wall.
He is running a really high line.
Now he moves off a little bit, but he's using all the racetrack and coming off the corners, trying his best not to get the car in any kind of bind as he exits the turns.
Didn't have a very good speed going into turn 3 at that point of the racetrack.
I don't think he participated in the morning practice session today. Yesterday, he was 26th fastest at 186.4. 1 lap is complete for Ted Musgrave.
48.80, not too good.
Goes down in turn 1. And 48.813, 184.377. That is currently 33rd fastest time. To go. He eases down in the 3rd corner. Low on the racetrack, right on the white line. Here Musgrave comes off the corner, and he will complete his qualifying run. It will not be very good, but he will complete it anyway.
Better, Ned?
Yeah, he's about over a third of a second better than his first lap. So, but still, it's going to put him pretty far back down the line.
Ted Musgrave, we're looking for a 2nd lap on his run. We welcome those of you watching ESPN News. We are live at Daytona International Speedway, Busch pole qualifying, and Ted Musgrave in the number 16 car has just qualified for the 500. We do not have a 2nd lap on him at the moment. His first lap was 48.813, 184.377, and Ned on his handheld stopwatch had him faster than that on lap number 2, but we have not gotten it from NASCAR yet.
Yeah, I had him 48.45 on his 2nd lap, so that would they moved him up a little bit.
Mike Skinner is the pole sitter at the moment, with Steve Grissom alongside in row number 1. And we have qualifier. We are at qualifier number 36. And we still have yet to go Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett, who have been the quickest. There is the second lap for Ted.
185.762. That is currently 30th qualifier. And there is Morgan Shepherd in the Richard Jackson Pontiac.
And just this week, they announced that sponsorship would be on this car for the rest of the season. Delco Remy will be the sponsor of the #1 car of Morgan Shepherd. Let's see what he's done in practice. 185.014 this morning. 185.6. Ooh, he was loose.
Oh, he's got something wrong. He's got something really wrong. He's got some shocks on that thing that are really, really wicked.
He was fighting that thing coming off the corner. Let's see what he turned, and we'll see what he can do in lap number 2 if it's as challenging as that first lap was.
Yeah, he picked it up a little bit, Bob, but not as much as most of the others have been picking it up. He picked up about a tenth of a second, or maybe just a little bit more.
First lap was 48.489, 185.6. Second lap, 48.398, 185.958 for Morgan Shepherd. Let's take a look at him up there between turns 3 and 4.
Watch the back of this car. All of a sudden, it just starts hitting those bumps, and just watch his hands on the steering wheel as he turns and turns, tries to keep it going. And there, all of a sudden, the back end just jumps around like there's no shocks at all on the back of this car.
He did a whale of a job.
He is. He was sawing that wheel coming through the 4th corner onto the tri-oval. But he clocked in 28th quick on the afternoon, 185.958 for Morgan Shepherd. On the racetrack right now, car number 81. This is Kenny Wallace.
Using one of those Robert Yates engines.
And Bill is with Kenny Schrader, who is just about to go out to qualify.
And Kenny was fast in off-season testing, and he's working on preparing to get into his Cole Bandit. And this is another new combination a lot of people expecting to click. You know how to get on the pole here, don't you? Go fast. You've done it, what, 3 years in a row?
Yeah, we did. It's been a little while since we did it, though. But they got a lot more rules than they had then. You know, then you could just lay the spoiler down and hold on and hope things went good. But they're a little strict right now.
So what do you do now?
Well, you just either got a car that'll go that fast or it won't, you know. Skull Car's not a pole contender, but we're hoping to get her a comfortable speed where we know we're locked in.
And what would that be?
It'd be real nice to be in the 47s anywhere.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Kenny was on the pole for the 500 in 88, 89, and 90. Kenny Wallace completes the run. First lap was 48.134, a 186.978. Moving him to 19th. Second one was better.
48.012, 187.453 puts Kenny Wallace in 15th. And we see he ran 48.012. Kenny Schrader said he wanted to get anything in the 47s, and that would be okay.
Let's find out about that wild ride from Morgan Shepherd, Jerry.
Well, Morgan, you get the My Heart Skipped a Beat award today. That's that lap up there, 48.398 seconds. But between 3 and 4, you had your hands full.
I did. Our Pontiac was jumping around so bad that I thought it was going to jump plumb off the racetrack. I'd just like to say thanks to Precision Products and Delco Remy for sponsoring us down here, and associate sponsors, Cruising America, Catalyst Communications, and Frontier. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
That's a mouthful, and you had a handful, but you brought the car back. Do you have some more left in it?
Well, we're just going to have to continue to work on the Pontiac. That's the quickest we've ran. We struggled during practice here, and these guys don't ever give up.
All right, Morgan, don't give up. One Pontiac down, another one on the racetrack, guys.
That is, of course, Bobby Hamilton in the Richard Petty-owned STP Pontiac. It's a 48.495. He's going to be disappointed with that effort.
Well, he told us a little bit ago that he's not going to qualify very well. They're going to get the car. If he qualifies last, they're going to get the car ready to race because they know it will draft well. They realize that it will not qualify that well. 185.586 miles per hour was Hamilton's first lap.
Before too long, there's going to be 3 cars qualify in succession that could determine the front row. Rusty Wallace, followed by Greg Sachs, followed by Dale Jarrett. All 3 of those guys have been very quick in the practice. That's coming up a little bit later. We've got several cars to qualify between now and then. Bobby Hamilton has taken the checkered flag. Let's see what lap number 2 was. The first lap was 34th fastest on the afternoon.
Well, he picked it up some, Bob, on his second lap, 48.315, 186.278 miles per hour.
Currently puts him in 28th spot. Remember I said that Rick Mass would be okay with 48-21? Well, right now that's back in 22nd spot.
All right, Bobby Hamilton completes the run. We'll be back with more qualifying from Daytona in a moment. There's where we stand here at Daytona in terms of Busch Pole qualifying. Skidder and Grissom are on the front row at the moment, but we still got Rusty Wallace and Greg Sachs and Dale Jarrett to go out and make an attempt. Here is Delma Coward about to complete lap number 1.
Yeah, Delma didn't do too good. 50.66 I got him.
He ran 179.3 this morning, Benny.
That's about what he qualified. Just one, well, actually slower. 150.701, 177.511 miles per hour.
Jerry Punch down on pit road with Kenny Wallace.
Kenny, you seem awfully happy with this lap. 48.012 seconds. That's 15th quickest.
Well, you know, I was at the motorhome watching Benny and all them guys up there, and it started out 48.25 was going to be a decent lap. I got worried, so, I mean, you know, Gil did a good job. We got some Gargantua shocks on her, had her pretty loose, but I was like, oh, Skinner, it skipped a couple times, and I think the car picked up speed, and I'm hoping, Benny, 48 flat will be okay.
I think it will, Kenny.
He said, I think it will, Kenny.
I hope so. Thanks, man.
All right, you lost your wallet last year, nearly lost it last night. We won't tell that story. You left it in the go-kart. He's out riding go-karts the night before qualifying. This kid likes to have fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's pretty tense down here, and all the drivers like to hide. I like to hide a little bit, too, so I can keep my sanity, but when I crossed to the go-kart track, went to go to Taco Bell, went to buy something, realized I didn't have my wallet, and I thought, oh, man. So 5 minutes later, went back to the go-kart track where there were about 400 people in line where my go-kart, or there my wallet was in the seat of the go-kart. So, Jerry, no more wallets there. I'm leaving all my money at home.
All right, I'll hold it for you. All right, that's Kenny Wallace. Let's check in with Bill, who's got another Wallace.
And that would be Rusty, and every time we do these qualifying shows from restrictor plate tracks, I tell the truck, Rusty says he's got his best shot this time, and they laugh at me. But nobody's laughing this time, are they?
Well, I hope not. I mean, this is our best shot. I just hope that all the conditions are right and that we can pull it off. The car's been real quick in practice, and but the big deal is, can we do it again? And I hope we can. We've done it 2 or 3 times down here in practice and running 40s and 50s. And I think the weather's okay right now, but I did like it when the wind was blowing down the back straightaway a little harder. My car seemed to run hard down the back straightaway and maintain it in front. So, hey, it's up to the man upstairs right now. Let's see what happens.
What's the difference, Rusty?
Engines, bodies, shock development, springs, real slick cars, a lot of wind tunnel time, and starting back in August.
Paul?
It's got all the capabilities to do it. It really does. I just hope we can do it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Rusty will be out before too long. On the track right now is David Green with the new team in NASCAR Winston Cup competition, sponsored by Caterpillar. His first lap was 49.145, 183.132, 37th quick.
He's got his hands full as well, about like Morgan Shepherd a moment ago.
Looked like he bottomed out when he came off of turn 4.
Yes, he did. He's got a qualifying lap under his belt.
He won the pole for the Busch Grand National race here at Daytona in 1991. He was the series champion in 94, second in 96, comes over to Winston Cup this year. Second lap, better, but not a great deal.
48.841, average speed 184.271, 37th.
And now another rookie comes on to the racetrack. Chad has participated in several Winston Cup races, but is a full-time driver in the series this year. Let's put it that way. Chad Little in the John Deere Pontiac.
He moves up from the Busch series of NASCAR, but he has run too many Winston Cup races to qualify as a rookie.
What did the song say? If I said the fool should have used red, would it look good to Charlene and John Deere green?
Yeah. Mark Rippon, the car owner, Harold Holly, the crew chief, and he was 20th fastest in the morning practice at 187.250. He was faster this morning than he was yesterday.
Off to Chad Little, 48.556, 185.353. That puts the David Green car back to 38th, puts him in 37th, but he should pick it up just a little bit on this lap. I don't know if he'll be able to pick up enough. I can tell I've talked to Chad a little bit. I did a shop talk show with Chad, and he's very concerned about qualifying for these first 4 races without any points. And obviously the Daytona 500 is one of his biggest concerns.
Now, of course, the provisional starters for a race are determined by last year's top 40 car owner points. And this team was not in the series last year, so they will not have any provisionals for a while. Okay, lap number 2 for Chad Little. What is it?
Better. Picked up 0.3 of a second. 48.259, 186.494. Moved him up to 24th fastest.
The 42 car of Joe Nemechek went onto the racetrack, and now he is on the apron between turns 3 and 4. So obviously a problem with the Bell South car for Joe Nemechek. It's 5 o'clock Eastern time, and we were supposed to be finished by now, but we're not. But coming up right after our conclusion of Busch Pole qualifying here at Daytona, you will be able to see Shop Talk in its entirety. Bill Weber is with Greg Sacks.
And here's one of the big surprises down here. Greg Sacks, extremely fast. How were you in the last practice session?
The car was very strong. The only, and I love it down here in Florida. I just don't know about this sun that's peeking through the clouds right now. That may hurt us. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens.
Where do you think you can wind up, Greg? Do you have a shot at the front row?
I think if the weather would cooperate and the cloud back over, we might have a chance. Otherwise, we're probably looking at top 10.
And this is a fresh beginning for you, a new 2-year package with this team.
Real excited about it. The Reno Walsh team has put together a great package. Tom Baldwin Jr. has done such a wonderful job with these cars. Put the whole team together. We've got a great group of guys. They've got 7, 8 cars already prepared for me. We've tested 2 at Rockingham. We're taking 2 to Richmond. To just start in October, the job they've done is phenomenal. And then to be fast on top of that, what more can I ask for?
Good luck in the next few minutes, Aaron.
Thank you.
Greg Sacks, one of the last to qualify, as will be Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett. On the racetrack at the moment, we have Ken Schrader, who has moved over to this Skoll team for 1997, and the crew chief on the car is Andy Petrie. There is Dale Jarrett, who is also awaiting his turn on the racetrack. He has been among the fastest since the track opened for practice for the series.
I'll tell you, another guy that has turned in some pretty impressive runs is Jeremy Mayfield. He's the last car to qualify, so we won't know for absolute sure until that last car is taking the checkered flag.
This thing is going to go right down to the final.
Next time Schrader goes by, we'll try to point those out to you. Looked like Tripp blew a right front tire, came up and clobbered barrier, and they both got in the outside retaining wall. So that's the black marks you see coming off through the tri-oval. And I think both of the drivers were okay. They'll start about there they are, black marks I'm talking about.
All right, Ken Schrader has completed lap number 1. He was 22nd fastest in the practice this morning, 187.2. Well, he's down considerably from that, 185.4 and a 48.542.
Well, you wonder if, we do have some sun on the track now. Weather conditions have changed, whether it's for the better or for the worse. Kenny has a much better lap going on his second lap. So everybody has run faster on their second lap. First.
Pole sitter 3 consecutive years for the Daytona 500, 88, 89, and 90. Last year, he was 10th quickest in the first round of qualifying. There's the checkered flag, and Ken Schrader has completed the run. We've got Gary Bradbury and Dave Marcus and Mark Martin and Robert Presley and Rusty Wallace and Greg Sacks, Dale Jarrett, Phil Barkdahl, Jeremy Mayfield to qualify yet. Schrader is 24th quick at 48.238. Gary Bradbury is on the racetrack. He's going to participate in tomorrow's ARCA Bondo Marhide 200 that we'll have live for you here on ESPN. Bradbury's first lap here in Winston Cup.
49.315, 182.500. That's 40th fastest so far, so obviously Bradbury needs to pick it up.
Well, Joe Nemechek was on the racetrack and came in. What was the story there, Jerry?
Well, Bob, the distance stare by Joe Nemechek should tell it all. Joe, I know you're disappointed and almost heartbroken from what was Andrea was saying a moment ago. What happened?
Went to leave pit road, and when I shifted in the second gear, all of a sudden we lost oil pressure, and I'm not sure what happened. You know, it's just a shame. You know, the whole Bell South crew has been working hard. You know, Team Sapco, the whole engine shop's been working hard to get us power. We've been running pretty decent, but just one of those unfortunate things. We'll put another rocket in there and come back on Monday for second round.
Well, maybe the old saying, you get the trouble out of the way early, and the week gets better as you go along.
Well, it's kind of funny. The last 2 years here at Daytona haven't been very good to me, and we're hoping to turn it around this year, and I think we're going to. You know, we've got Mike Hillman, Tony Glover, and all the other guys, you know, at Team Sapco are putting their input in, and things are looking real good.
All right, Joe Nemechek able to smile, and the good news is he's going to be a papa in a few months. At least he can still smile about that.
All right. Well, Gary Bradbury, obviously with a problem with that car, a lot of smoke from it. His second lap was his best, 182.693, 49.263 seconds. We'll be right back. Dave Marcus has just qualified. He is 39th fastest, 48.820 and a 48.609. His best lap was his second, 185.151 miles an hour. Shop Talk is coming up right after we conclude coverage of Busch Pole qualifying here at Daytona, and you will see it in its entirety. Let's go to Bill Weber.
And standing down here on pit road with Dale Jarrett, you've been asked a million times, but now it's almost that time. Can you get the pole?
If I had to get, I'd say no. I don't really think we can run that fast. That was an awesome lap that Skinner put in. And, you know, we haven't seen anything to tell us that we could run that fast. When I ran 47.55 in practice, I had a car about a half a straightaway in front of me that had to be helping me. So, yeah, I'd have to say I figured if I could run a 55 again, that would be a good time for us.
The weather seems maybe it's put you at a little bit of a disadvantage. The sun has come out, the wind not quite as strong, it doesn't feel.
Yeah, I think the wind's the biggest factor, whatever it's going to do. That tends to be a determining factor here. If you've got a headwind, even though it helps you down the back, it slows you down so much down the front. So that's going to be critical. The sun, I'm glad to see the sun because that means at least we're going to get to go today. It seems like a different day than when Ernie ran earlier.
You looking forward to the race?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it. You know, this car was built for speed, but mainly for the Daytona 500 for racing, and so I'm excited about our chances.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Dale Jarrett, the defending Daytona 500 champion. Jerry Punch.
Well, Chad Little's Pontiac ran like a deer today. Chad, pretty good lap for you considering you guys are trying to get the car up to speed, 48.259 seconds.
Well, I appreciate your kind words. It's not as good as, you probably hear that from everybody. How'd you think of your lap? Well, it's not that good. It was okay. I mean, we thought that we could run faster, and I guess that's why we're here, is we think we can always run faster. Hopefully it'll be good enough that we won't have to rely completely on the twins. You know how that deal works to get in the race. And we'll just go back and try to find some more speed and concentrate on really getting a good race setup so we can run all 125 miles wide open.
All right, Chad, best of luck to you. He's one of the guys that does not have a provisional with a brand new race team, so he'll have to get in by virtue of speed or a good finish in that qualifier.
Disappointing run for Mark Martin. His first lap was 48.413, 185.900, only 34th fastest. Second lap time and speed coming up. It is quicker, but not by a great deal.
Well, he picked it up almost 0.3 of a second, Bob, up 186.951 miles an hour. So that improves his position up to 20th.
Rusty Wallace is climbing aboard his Miller Lite Ford and will be on the racetrack before very long. Out there right now is Robert Presley, who has been running 187.029 as his best in this morning's practice period.
The driver of the Cartoon Network Chevrolet. Here's Beckles' car. Who's that guy on the left rear quarter?
I can't remember. Neil, what's the cartoon character's name on the car? Shaggy. Yeah, on the back. And Scooby-Doo on the front. Neil Goldberg, our producer, keeps up with the cartoons with his kids, so we have to call on him for that information.
Yes, exactly.
Robert Presley came over to this car before the season ended in 96 to become familiar with it. And let's see what he did on lap 1. 40th quick, 48.567, 185.311.
Yeah, you won't be too happy with that. currently 40th fastest.
Sun sinking low in the western sky here, creating some very long shadows. It's been a long afternoon. We were interrupted several times by rain showers. Billy Standridge crashed, and that took a while to clean up. He's okay, but the car was very badly damaged in the left rear of the car. In fact, the crew says it's a write-off. There's the checkered flag, and Robert Presley has finished his qualifying run.
Picked it up quite a bit, Bob, more than a quarter of a second from his first lap to his second.
27th, 48.274, 186.436 miles per hour. And once again, puts him in 27th spot.
Well, here we go.
We're off.
We're going to see what shakes out here in the next 3, 4, 5 qualifiers, because Rusty Wallace is on the racetrack. He was second quick this morning. He was the fastest yesterday. His best lap has been a 189.657, a 47.454. But that isn't as fast as Mike Skinner qualified at earlier today. He ran a 47.415 and is on the pole as the sun comes out brightly on the racetrack.
And going into turn 3, he had an identical time, according to my watch, of Ernie Irvin, the first car to qualify. And this is just his first lap.
Ernie is 5th fastest on the day.
You can tell much by watching Robert Pemberton, the crew chief.
Well, he knows he's got to pick up a lot. I got him to 77.
7th quick so far, 47.773, 188.391. Well, if he picks up 3/10 of a second, he's going to be in good shape.
Yeah, he's got to pick up a little more than 3/10 of a second. We've seen some cars pick up that much, but not very many. Well, he picked up about 2/10 of a second going into turn 3 over what he was the previous lap.
So this may not be the pole position run, but he may be on the front row. Let's see.
That's right. I think second's about the most he can hope for, but that is a guaranteed spot for the front row.
And I think he's going to be third.
Okay, we'll see.
We saw Robin right away put on the radio and tell Rusty Wallace.
You are right. He is third fastest at the moment, 189.179. Bills with Robin.
Rusty Wallace qualifies third as of right now. Now, that's got to bring a smile to your face.
Yeah, well, you know, it's you don't want to be greedy. It's a letdown for being so good, you know, through practice, and I'm sure the weather hurt a lot of different cars other than ourselves. You know, it's a real good time to run. Last year we started dead last in this race, and I'll tell you what, everybody at the shop, this wasn't anything from any one person. This is something from 50 people at Penske Racing South that, you know, put this effort together. You know, this is real important to all of us there. You know, we've come such a long way in a year.
Okay, go talk to your driver. Greg Sachs out on the track to Jerry Punch.
Well, Mark was gracious enough to wait with us and watch as Rusty ran, and Mark 48.141. Not a great lap, but a whole lot better than last year.
Well, I'm real proud of this Valvoline team and the effort that they've made. You know, it's just been really incredible, the improvement that we made the last 30 days with this race car. We're missing a lot of speed, but we're not missing near as much as we were a month ago.
But come race day, as you were last year and the year before, you're there every year in the top 5.
Well, we managed to do that. We have a good handling package, and we race real hard and try to race smart. And, you know, we'll do the best we can with what we have to work with.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Bob?
Greg Sachs is 15th fastest after his first lap. Second lap right now is underway, and Dale Jarrett will be the next to go onto the racetrack. Here comes Greg off the 4th corner.
He picked it up quite a bit going into turn 3 over his first lap, so let's see what he does coming across the start-finish line. He picks it up about 2/10 of a second.
There is a lot of sun on the racetrack at the moment. Dale has not pulled out yet. Greg Sachs' second lap puts him 8th quick.
188.281 miles per hour.
Dale Jarrett just put his helmet on and the gloves, so it'll be a while before he gets rolling on the racetrack. Here's Doc.
Well, Rusty Wallace, you said this team was coming back in a big way. How about that second lap? 47.574, third quickest.
Yeah, it was just disappointing because we really thought we could run quicker in a 40. We thought we'd get in the 30s, but just didn't happen. I don't know what it was. sometimes waiting to dead last is not an advantage because everything just gets colder and colder in the car as far as the wheel bearings, the rear ends, and stuff like that. But really, I'm a little lost because we ran a 45 this morning pretty clean. The 57 now is a little lost, but I'll take third. And that's a lot better than I've ever done here, no doubt about that, but I sure like them better.
Dale Jarrett's going out right now, Rusty. The sun came out when you went on the racetrack. Did that impact your speed or your run?
I don't know. I don't really think so. I think that's just all we had. It's just, we did lose about a 1/10 of a second. I don't know why, but it's too late right now. I did want to be in the front row real bad. I just really wanted it, you know, but it didn't happen, and so we'll have a good starting spot for the 125. Just do our best.
All right, Rusty Wallace made for the first time in his career, started in the first 2 rows at a restrictor plate track.
Dale Jarrett, the fastest in practice, the second fastest yesterday at 188.7, and the third fastest this morning at 189.2. Don't forget, Shop Talk will be coming up in its entirety after we qualify 3 more cars, 2 after Dale Jarrett remain, Phil Barkdahl and Jeremy Mayfield. Here's a quick look at the top 15 as they stand right now, led by Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom on the front row for Sunday's Daytona 500. But Dale Jarrett has yet to qualify. Let's see what happens to the 88 machine.
Well, his time going into turn 3 was almost identical to Rusty Wallace and to Ernie Irvin. So it doesn't look like he's on track to challenge those Chevrolets.
Here's the white flag coming out. Todd Parrott, his crew chief, looking on. Maybe we can get a reaction from Todd on lap number 1. Well, he's pretty stoic.
I got him a 47.76.
Well, it's a 47.78. You were pretty close. 188.363. He's 8th quick, Benny.
I think that Rusty Wallace ran a 77 on that first lap, 47.77. So right now, if he could pick up 2/10, he would be right between Rusty Wallace and the 77 car of Bobby Hillen.
I don't think he could pick up that much, Benny, although his second lap over there is about a 25/100ths faster than his first lap.
So here comes Dale Jarrett. This might decide who's going to be on the pole.
Well, he might be on the outside pole. No, I don't think so. No, I think so. I think he's third.
Okay, well, Todd isn't jumping up and down. Let's see. Yep, you're right, Ned. He is 3rd fastest. The lap is 47.547, 189.2. Here's Bill.
And Todd Parrott is waiting to see the seconds come up on the scoreboard down here and then tell his driver. Right now, 3rd, Todd, with a couple cars to go. Your reaction to that? He's making notes. You're 3rd right now. Your reaction?
Well, if we can hold on to that, I can tell you this much. We won the Daytona 500 in 1996 from 3rd, so it's not a bad starting spot for us.
Are you disappointed? You thought you had a shot at the front row?
Oh, yeah, we thought we had a real good shot at the front row, but the guys worked really hard on the car, and, I mean, I think we got a good race car. We got a great car for the Busch Clash tomorrow, so we're still excited. A little disappointed because we didn't get on the front row. Chevrolets were sandbagging a little bit, I guess, this week.
Okay, and the manufacturers battle continues.
That's for sure. Here's the green flag for Phil Barkdahl, who ran a 186.4 this morning and a 184.8 yesterday. I don't know about you guys, but I'm surprised at what has happened here this afternoon with not so much Mike Skinner, but boy, look at that Steve Grissom guy up there on the front row.
Yes, I am kind of surprised with the front row, but obviously Richard Childress builds a very good race car, and I guess that we're going to see something out of the Larry Hedrick team this year.
You know, I hate to tell you so, but you remember that interview that Jerry Punch did with me down there yesterday? And we were talking about how quick the Fords were, but I said I believe the Chevrolets are sandbagging.
I think you were right. 2 Chevys on the front row at the moment. Here's another Chevy that is completing lap number 1 of qualifying, driven by Phil Barkdahl from Phoenix, Arizona. He's had a struggle the last few years, overcame a bout with cancer, and is still out there driving a race car as hard as he can. He bottomed out there a little bit. First lap is a 48.474, 185.667 miles an hour.
See, currently 41st position. I think Phil used to run quite a few races. I think now Daytona is about the only race that he tries to run each year.
Picked his speed up on the second lap going into turn 3.
Always brings that sponsorship of X1R here to Daytona. Here he is in the tri-oval, taking the checkered flag, and the final car to qualify this afternoon is on the racetrack. That is Jeremy Mayfield. We'll stand by to report the second lap of Phil Barkdahl.
Pretty good one, Bob. 48.157, 186.889, currently 25th.
Wow.
That'll be marginal whether that would get him in the Daytona 500 should he have problems in the qualifying race.
Jerry's with Dale Jarrett.
Well, DJ, you picked it up 2/10 on the second lap, and 47.547 puts you in the second row, third.
Yeah, I said before we started, if we could run what we ran in practice, that would be pretty good, and that's about where we're at. That's all we got. I hate those Chevrolets don't have a chance. That's a real shame.
You know, we talked to your dad yesterday, and he said just that. Ned said on the top of the truck, hey, those Chevrolets are going to surprise you. And even Todd Parris said those Chevrolets may be shaking a little sand out of the floorboard.
Just don't ever know here. I mean, you don't know how fast somebody can run, if we get a clean lap or not. And that's what makes this interesting. That's why we go out here today and run. So we just have to see what happens on Thursday and next Sunday now.
Can you two-peat?
You know, the chance is there. We obviously have a good race car, and if everything goes well, we can do that.
All right, good luck to you, DJ.
Thanks.
All right, Dale Jarrett, third quickest.
Jeremy Mayfield has taken the white flag. One more lap of qualifying this afternoon, and we will be finished after a long afternoon interrupted numerous times by rain showers. Jeremy is not all that quick.
No, he isn't. And Bob, I thought he'd turned some considerably faster laps than that in practice. 185.464, 145th fastest.
There's our pole sitter, Mike Skinner.
And I think he can pretty much accept the award.
Yep, he sure can.
Jeremy Mayfield is well off the pole pace. 45th quickest on that first lap. So Mike Skinner is going to win the pole position for the Daytona 500 a week from Sunday. And Steve Grissom is going to start alongside him in row number 1. Here's the second lap for Jeremy Mayfield, and he picked it up a little bit, Benny.
Yes, 48.358, 186.112, but only good enough for 38th spot. Bill Weber.
Mike Skinner, congratulations. You're on the pole for the Daytona 500.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm about to pass out. This is unbelievable. I'll tell you, Lowe's, Chevrolet, Richard Childress, Kevin, Terry Elledge, all the guys at the engine shop back there. Man, David, so I could go on and on and on. You know, it's just been an absolute great deal. Larry McReynolds has helped us a lot. And that Chevrolet Monte Carlo, the cream come to the top. I'll tell you, we get through the room of doom over here, I'm going to have a heck of a celebration.
There's a rookie stripe on the back of the car that's going to lead these guys into the 500. How do you come here and do that?
Go to work for Richard Childress and have people like Kevin Hamlin and David Smith and an engine program with Gary Wagner and John Richardson and these guys. I guess that's how you do it. This is a mechanics race qualifying. I don't know if I can't draft with these guys. You know, I don't have the experience to do that, but we might lead one lap anyway. We'll see.
I think I know somewhere you can turn for some advice. Will you talk to Dale before this race, and what advice will you be looking?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, when we ran the ARCA race here last year, Dale gave me a London load of advice, and he helped me a heck of a lot, and I'll definitely will have a meeting with Dale Earnhardt and see if we can do a little refresher course on my drafting skills. He's been a big help, and I think he can help me a lot.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Mike Skinner on the pole for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, a week from tomorrow.
Wow, how about that? Let's take a look at the results. Now, remember, these qualifying efforts turned in this afternoon by Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace were very impressive, and they could be important, but it does not mean that they're going to start third and fourth in the Daytona 500. It's going to mean that Dale Jarrett will start second in the first 125, and Rusty Wallace will start second in the second 125.
That's exactly right. But I tell you, what a surprise there, Bobby Hillen. Although he said it was not that much of a surprise, but qualifying in 5th fastest there today. Good run for him. It's good to see some of those guys like Dick Crickle and Jimmy Spencer up there in 15th position.
Greg Sachs, yep. Derek Cope had a good run here this afternoon.
And Rick Mass, I said he'd be okay, he ended up 27th. I still think that would be a pretty good speed to fall back on if he did have trouble in the 125-mile qualifying race.
Bit of a disappointment for Sterling Marlin back there in 28th position. Schrader and Little complete the top 30. Now let's see what transpired between 31 and 45. These guys have got some work to do.
At 38 cars, they're going to take out of the qualifying and the qualifying races and 4 provisionals. If they go by qualifying, Jeremy Mayfield would be the last car to qualify. Then Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Burton, all these fellows would miss the show. And a lot of work to be done by these guys.
And David Green, a lot of work to do, and Mike Wallace also, along with Dave Marcus, Gary Bradbury, and Del McCowart. But there are 2 more rounds of qualifying. Second round on Monday, third row on Tuesday. Jerry?
Well, behind me, guys, the inspection begins. The very first car coming through will be Ernie Irvin. They will inspect the top 10 qualifiers. That's what Mike Skinner told Bill Weber a moment ago. The room of doom. That is post-race inspection. They will check all the heights. You see Buster Auten back there, the new pace car driver for 1997. He will orchestrate that inspection, and they have Ernie Irvin's Haviland Ford Thunderbird back there being weighed. He will come up here to the height stick, and then they will take a deep breath if they get through. Bill Weber?
Jerry, I think the feeling out on pit road throughout the day was that the racing season began today. No matter what's happened in testing or the Busch Clash tomorrow, the season truly began today. And some guys showed some surprising muscle. Others were very disappointing. And that's exactly what we're going to see starting now all the way through the checkered flag in Atlanta. But fans, if you've been waiting all winter, you don't have to wait anymore because the season is here. It began today. And the big winners so far are Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom. What an afternoon. I can't wait for the rest of our Speedway coverage, guys.
Calm down, Bill. Later tonight, Kenny Mayne with the RPM Tonight report. That's at 7 o'clock. Ned, Benny, and I will be around on ESPN at 8 o'clock tonight for a 90-minute recap of what occurred here this afternoon. Join us live at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon here on ESPN, I should say, for the Arcabondo Mile High 200. And NASCAR today at 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on The Deuce. Spectacular shots provided by the Bud 1 airship, which has been seen by millions as it flies over the skies of places like the Superdome and Daytona International Speedway. He'll be back with us tonight on our coverage beginning at 8 o'clock. What a day for Mike Skinner and for Steve Grissom. They're on the front row for the 500 a week from tomorrow. Coming up next, Shop Talk here on ESPN. We hope you've enjoyed the very first coverage, TV coverage of Busch pole qualifying for a Daytona 500-mile race live here on ESPN2. And we'll have that 90-minute wrap-up show for you tonight beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time over on ESPN1. Congratulations, Mike. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.